item number 2, public comment on items not on the agenda. If anybody would like to speak to any item that's not coming up on our agenda, now would be the time to do that. Do we have any speaker first, Connie?
I have, I'm not sure if this is, on there. This is for the farmer's market. It's, I think it's not.
That's going to come up, yeah, that's an agenda item. I forget where it is, but
Okay.
Action item 7B.
7B, okay, great. So I knew I saw it in there someplace. Okay, number 3, we have a presentation by Leah Rowell, is it?
Yes.
Rowell or Rowell?
Rowell.
Rowell, okay, thank you. On the HERO program.
You got a 7B? I don't have a 7B. Yeah, no.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me all right?
No, I got it here. I got it.
As the Mayor said, my name is Leah Rowell, and I'm with the HERO program. The HERO program enables homeowners to make energy and water-efficient upgrades to their home and repay that upgrade over time through their property taxes. This innovative form of financing enables property owners to install the most efficient technologies affordably and pay for those technologies over time rather than making one upfront payment. I think that you all have my presentation in front of you, and I'm sorry to the audience that you do not. So the HERO program is a property assessed clean energy, or PACE, financing, which is designed to make payments repaid through the property taxes over time. And I included a sample property tax bill in the first page, and it shows you the HERO financing line item on the property tax bill. So why HERO? The HERO program enables homeowners, again, to afford energy and water efficient upgrades that benefit both home and community. This means lower utility bills for your constituents and generating increased revenue for the city. So when contractors are coming to pull permits, that's more revenue for the city. And when folks are coming to visit the city to potentially work with homeowners to do HERO upgrades, they're dining at local restaurants and stimulating the local economy. HERO also helps create new jobs, increased property values, and protects consumers. When the state government was mandating water reduction across all counties and cities, what we do is we're a tool to help you track those savings during, over time from your particular homeowners. So HERO really provides consumer protections that currently do not exist with traditional forms of financing. HERO finances 100% of the project, so that includes labor. Approvals are based on home equity, not your credit score. Interest rates are low and fixed, and we provide 5, 10, 15, and 20-year payment terms. Some of the main products that we install are solar, HVAC, roofing, windows and doors, artificial turf, pool pumps, insulation, and drought-tolerant landscaping. All of these products have to be permanently affixed to the home, so the idea is the loan and the product stays with the home. HERO is the largest and most successful residential PACE-based financing program in the nation. Right now, over 90% of PACE projects California-wide are HERO projects. We really focus on partnering with our local communities. So my role is as a community development representative. I work with the communities from San Francisco down to San Luis Obispo. I've been working with AMBAG and some of your neighboring communities. We protect your seniors. So if someone is 65 years or older and a contractor knocks on their door, we'll call them multiple times to make sure they know what they're getting themselves into. And I'll talk about the rest of our consumer protections and some of our economic and environmental benefits in a second here too. We've created an integrative technology for homeowners, contractors, and real estate professionals, which is designed to deliver accurate information quickly in a timely manner. So we've created a Hero dashboard. So that is designed for your city manager, city staff, all of you. So you can log onto your computer and download a quick report and see what's happening in your community. You can see the numbers in real time. We have customized Hero web pages for each of our Hero communities. So when someone Googles San Juan Bautista, the Hero program, you'll have your own web page that will pop up if that Google search is made, and you'll also have that web page that you can put on your city website and direct to your constituents too. And they can apply directly through that website for the Hero program. We have also designed a mobile app that gives cities real-time data on the go. So I have that app with me at all times. If someone's inquiring one of the council members about what has been going on in their city or what their neighbors are doing, I can pull up that app and show you what your neighbors have been doing. And there's a fun little gamification in there so you can compete against your neighbors and see who can do the most Hero projects. So you can track the economic impact, local jobs created, project types, amounts financed, CO2 reductions, and water savings. Hero Pro is a platform that we designed for our contracting partners. So this is something that contractors take into the home, and it's an interactive sales tool that provides an estimating calculator so they can work with a homeowner and that particular type of product that the homeowner is interested in and come up with a savings calculator for that individual. We also have electronic signature capabilities, so this means that a homeowner and a contractor can look over the document together, sign it quickly right there. There's no back and forth signatures. There really isn't any wait time. So really, Hero is here for you and your constituents. We provide dedicated support to property owners, contractors, real estate professionals, and municipalities through every step of the process. Like I said earlier, I am your community development representative, so I represent San Francisco down to San Luis Obispo. I provide program education for city staff members, so I'll go into a community and talk about the Hero program and teach them how to talk to their constituents about the Hero program. I also give my phone number out to all your staff members, so if you have a constituent calling in and inquiring about the Hero program, instead of fielding those calls yourself and feeling like you're taking away valuable staff time, you can just direct all those calls to me. So it's basically as if you have your own Hero staff member in-house. Contractor training, our representatives in the field provide training and ongoing assistance on program implementation. We have done a few different contractor training events with AMBAG in Monterey, Santa Cruz, and some of the other surrounding areas, and I'd love to continue this event with your community. Dispute resolution. So every property owner complaint receives a full investigation. If a property owner is complaining about anything, even if it's a hammer left on their front lawn, that is something that will come through our dispute resolution team. And when necessary, our investigators will come out and intervene and resolve whatever situation may arise. Dedicated Hero property advisors. This is a fairly new division for Hero. We have set up a division of specialists that are here to assist real estate professionals and homeowners during the selling or refinancing process. And again, they can answer any questions that may arise, and they're really there to walk both the real estate professionals and the homeowners through the process of selling or refinancing a Hero home. We also offer a comprehensive training and registration program for our contractors. Contractors have to go through an online process to become a Hero registered contractor. This is something that will give them the tools they need to go out and talk to homeowners about the Hero program. So they're giving homeowners the right information. We also have dedicated staff members that will be on the phone with them when they're going into the home, so they don't feel like they're going to be providing any misinformation to your constituents, your homeowners. We want to make sure that we're really protecting them every step of the way, and providing contractors with support that they might not get in other places. We do co-marketing with them and talk to them about some of the billboard guidelines and other things that we can do together. Hero Property Advisors, I mentioned them briefly, otherwise known as HPA. So Hero Property Advisors really works with homeowners, realtors, lenders, and title companies to assist in the sale of a Hero home. What we teach there is no transfer requirements for buyers. We train local realtors on the benefits of Hero. We train them on subordination details and how to take calls from homeowners looking to sell or refinance their home. We also help them list Hero homes that are up for sale, and we have a dedicated support line that I've put in this presentation. It's 855-CAL-HERO, and that is a support line directed to HPA, so you don't have to wait in line for a generic person at the Hero line. Consumer protection policy. Hero really prides itself in its consumer protections. We have developed the #1 consumer protection policy in the home energy improvement financing sector today. We have contractor ID verification, which means every contractor must be in good standing with the CSLB, the Contractor State Licensing Board, and have active licensing. We conduct reasonable cost tests on all major product types and projects to ensure property owners get a fair price. So if we see that a solar system is way above the normal margin that we see, we give that contractor a call and we ask them what's going on. Maybe there's an inverter that wasn't listed on the invoice. We take into account all of those different line items. But at the end of the day, we really want to ensure that your constituents are getting a fair price for what they're paying for. Permit verification. We require verification that all the necessary permits for qualifying products have been issued. So this is good for the city because contractors have to come to you to pull permits. This will hopefully create more revenue within the city. No payments are made to the contractor until both the property owner and the contractor sign off on a completion certificate. So we want to ensure that both the homeowner and the contractor are happy with the end result of their project. Just a quick glimpse at Hero in California. Right now we have 110,000 approved applications that have generated $6.3 billion. 85% of all California households can participate in the Hero program. 60,000 completed residential projects in California. 10,000 local jobs have been created. 2.18 billion in annual economic impact. And 375 cities and counties in California have already signed on to the Hero program. I'll let you read the rest of those stats. So that's really the end of my presentation. By adopting the Hero program, you're simply opening up choice to your constituents. There's no risk, no administration, and no cost to the city. And again, over 85% of California agrees that making choice is good public policy. And I'll stay up here for any questions that the council might have.
I have a question. What sort of financing rates are the loans?
That's a good question. So they
And
depend.
the term?
So they depend. Our loans are 5, 10, 15, 20 year.
Got it.
The interest rates vary from 6.75 to 8.35, and the interest may be tax deductible.
Okay, so first, we adopt Hero,
Yes.
okay?
So that
Then we
just
go
means
through
that
a judicial validation,
yes.
and then the staff are all trained. Is that a cost of anything? Or?
No. So
Okay.
all of that is really up to you. So I work with each community to fit your needs. So if you want me to sit down with your city manager and staff and train them on the HERO program, I'm happy to do that. Communities really tell me what they want, and I fit that mold for each different community.
Okay. And so all the contractors are under the HERO.
So we work with local contractors. So we intend to stimulate your local economy by working with contractors that already exist in your community. So we're trying to promote the mom and pop businesses, bring in more business for the local contractors in the community.
So kind of like where I'm is if somebody wanted to do something under the HERO program, you would have a list of contractors that are qualified, or?
We can either refer them to a contractor, and we have a system, someone calls in and they go through a computer-generated system, so we make sure that we're not being biased to one contractor over another, but we take into account the area and the specialty, whether that's an HVAC contractor or a solar contractor. They can also go directly through the contractor first, and then the contractor will work with the HERO program. So there's two avenues for your constituents.
And any surrounding cities right now?
So you would be the first city in San Benito County. AMBAG has been very active with the HERO program. We have Gilroy and Morgan Hill, north of you, and Monterey, Pacific Grove, Monterey County, Salinas. I can keep going if you want.
Okay. No, it's good.
I sit on the AMBAG board,
Yes.
and they've spent a lot of time vetting this, and frankly, I'm surprised that it's taken this long to come down to this level, because I remember we talked about this about a year ago.
Yes, we've been
At
working.
AMBAG, yeah.
Yes, we've been
Well,
working
at least
with Elizabeth.
they
and-
started at the top here.
That's right. But it seems like a great program. I mean, I for one, I have, I think, pretty good equity in my home, and I could use all new windows in my house. This would be it's a terrific option for
It is.
people.
It's a great option. Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes.
In the loans that the individuals take, that will not affect the debt ratio of the city if we wanted to go to local improvement
Exactly.
districts
Yes.
through the 1911, 12, and 15 Bond Act.
Yes. So there's really
Yeah.
no cost
Yeah.
for the city. There's no risk for the city.
Yeah.
It's
But
really
what
a
I'm-
win-win.
What
for
I'm
the
saying
city.
is that when you do a bond issuance on private property, there's a certain debt ratio to the equity to the
Mm-hmm.
to the debt ratio, and this would not affect that.
No, I don't believe so.
Right.
I can double check on that for you if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be what I would concern, because if there's a lot of homes on a street that have these loans, and we come in and do a local improvement district to pave or fix a street or put a sewer line in, and that debt ratio goes beyond that, then we would be barred from initiating that
No.
local improvement district.
So the resolution that's in front of you today is to join the WRCOG JPA. So it's Western Riverside Council of Governments. And they are the issuer. So the city would not be the issuer of the HERO project or the loan.
That's good. Okay.
So you said that it's not a credit, it goes by the equity.
Exactly.
If they don't have a whole lot of equity, can it go to the credit?
No. So unfortunately, this is really a loan that's designed for the house, not the individual.
Okay.
And once that individual gets more equity in the home, then they can definitely use the HERO program.
And do they have that number already, or is...
About 10% equity in a home.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
How do people know about this program? I mean, how do people in San Juan know that this is available? Are
Great
you going to
question.
advertise it? Are we going to advertise it? What's going on?
So usually what I do is I work with local communities to see what they want. We do co-marketing with cities. So if you want to work with our program, we can design a water bill insert or some marketing material that can go out in conjunction with the city. If that's not something that you want to do, if you don't have the resources or the staff time, then what we do is marketing is really driven by the contractors in the area. So the contractors who are already talking to your constituents will share information about the HERO program. We are rolling out a Northern California marketing campaign right now, which will definitely touch some of this area. So I'm not sure exactly where our billboards are going to be placed yet, but I'm sure that that will be another form of marketing that will reach San Juan.
Thank you.
My question, who puts all this into the tax bill? Do we do that as staff?
Yes, yeah.
How much time does that take?
It shouldn't take you much time at all. So we have experts that we work with, BB&K, and some other individuals who you're already probably working with who can assist you with that process. Really, the HERO program is designed to be turnkey, so it shouldn't require much or any staff time, and my job is to make it easier for all of you.
You concur, Roger?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just pretty boilerplate.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question. I get calls from solar energy salespeople a lot. I'm not interested in that right now, but I never look into the financing, but they always talk about financing and saving money on my energy bills and paying for the financing. How does HERO differ from the financing that most of these providers have for people?
So for HERO, you would have a couple options. I can't really speak to the nuances of other programs, but for us, the financing is tied to the home, not the individual. So that is the major difference. Most solar financing, my understanding is the financing would be tied to you as an individual. So if you sell your home, you would still be paying for that solar system that's on your home, whereas the HERO program is designed to potentially transfer to the next buyer.
Did you say if I put solar financing on my home to pay for a solar system and I sell the home, I would still be paying?
No. I'm saying that
with the
that
property.
might be the case with traditional financing, but that is not the case with HERO financing.
Okay. All right. I know this item is coming up under 4F.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I know some people wanted to comment on this. Can you hold your comments
course.
until we take the item up? Because this is just strictly a presentation now. Then under 4F, it's going to be an item to talk about that.
And I'm happy to come back up and answer any questions
Yeah, we'll be
that
there pretty
constituents
quickly,
might have.
too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a consent agenda. I want to pull a few things. Does anybody else want to pull anything?
Depending on what you pull.
Okay, that's fair enough. I want to pull E, the minutes, and F, the item we're talking about now. And
You want to pull the fire contract?
I guess I don't need to pull that unless somebody else wants to pull
The fire contract?
it. Yeah.
No. No.
We're under that nothing's changed then, right?
Nothing's changed. Yeah.
No, we don't need to pull that.
You're
then.
okay. All right,
So just E and F?
E and F, yeah.
I move we approve the consent agenda other than E and F.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Roll call, please.
Councilmember West,
Yes.
Councilman Fox,
Yes.
Councilmember Lund,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Martirena,
Aye.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, now we'll take item E, page 2, 5A, the last line. There's some notes that need to be added in there. That's number 1. And then on page 3, second paragraph down, the last line of the paragraph probably should read, can subtract crime activity, CAN tracking. Other than that, I'm okay with the minutes.
What was the first one?
The first one is 5A on page 2, and it says, Councilmember Bach congratulated Alego on being question mark of the year. See,
Hey,
just some notes that need.
legislator of the year is what it's supposed to be.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, that's my recollection. So,
I skipped right over that. I didn't-
Yeah.
Trish, you can fill that in after. So we could approve these as amended.
Yes.
Okay. I'll move that we approve them as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't know why I say that. Roll call vote. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Bach,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Margarita,
Aye.
Mayor Ray,
Yes.
all members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the mayor passes unanimously.
Okay, item F is the HERO program. It's asking us to approve a resolution. We've talked about it up here now, so let's open this up for public comment. Was there anybody that wanted to talk on this? Do you have a speaker card, Connie?
Thank you. My name is John McCormick. This is new to me. I had a few questions, as much because she was speaking to you and we couldn't hear some of the conversation back there. But I was unclear if you can use a general contractor, it says contractor, to do multiple improvements. If you want to upgrade your heater, you need you need a heating contractor to do that work. And if you do the windows, you have another contractor, a window contractor. So I wondered if you could do a multiple project like that and then allocate those costs, one thing. I was confused about the issue about loans and property tax security. It's my understanding with solar is that you owe that money, but if you sell it, I believe you have to either pay it off or close it at that point. And sometimes the buyer is not willing to pay you for that asset because it's been depreciated or they don't like it or whatever. So it's something that's part of that negotiation. Where this sounds like it's just a pass-through, which is probably superior to having to deal with explaining it to a buyer who says, oh, well, I didn't want solar, and I hate that, or I don't like your system, or the technology keeps changing so freaking fast nowadays that something that was installed 2 years ago is not as efficient as something that would be installed today, or even the cost, because solar companies are, there's way too many panels. So that program is probably a real good advantage. Those are my comments, and I'd like a little more clarification.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick, for your questions. I'm sorry that I'm facing the council here. Let me know if you want me to speak a little louder.
Yes, please.
The general contractor question.
You can look at that.
Okay. The general contractor question, yes, you can use a general contractor. You can also use individual contractors, so you have the option to use either one, either general contractor, or you can use multiple individual contractors. What you said about the idea of a solar system being just a pass-through to the next buyer, that was the original intent of the legislation. That is how PACE is designed to operate, as a pass-through. So it's really as if the home is taking out the loan instead of the individual. That being said, we have multiple options for buyers and sellers. If the buyer does not want to assume that assessment on their property taxes, the buyer and the seller can work together to either pay that payment off in full or make a partial payment. We have no prepayment penalties, so if you do decide to do that, there will be no fees associated with that prepayment. Again, that can be a partial payment, that can be a full payment, that can either be a partial or full payment at the time of the sale. But that is really between the buyer and the seller. But yes, you were right that it was originally intended as sort of a pass-through.
The problem that the industry is facing, solar in particular, is that the power plants, power companies are trying to limit the amount of cost that they can reimburse for use because they're not getting the full return on their investment on the infrastructure. So it's possible that solar value that you expect to get from the passbacks that you do to the companies is going to go down in the future. So you'll have to figure out what the economics will be if you take some risk, because at some point they're going to kill. They've done that in Hawaii because there's so many solar conversions in Hawaii that they don't even want to add any more solar. And so the value of that investment might or might not come back to you. I don't want to kill your joy.
No problem. So we've also just made the home energy battery available. So if you do have a solar system, you might want to use it in conjunction with a battery to keep all your power in your house. You can also use solar with pool heaters, or you can use it to charge your car. You can put an EV charging station at your house. So there are definitely ways that we want to see people trying to use multiple products to answer that question. But I'm sure that as things evolve, so will we. Thank you.
I just have one more question. So the person decides to sell the house. Do the warranties and craftsmanship guarantees go with the new owner?
That's a good question. The warranties and the loan. So the loan is really tied to the house and to the property taxes. So therefore, I am pretty sure that the loans and warranties would again stay with the house. This loan is really designed to be a loan to the house and not to the individual. So everything that applied to the first owner or the first person who took on that HERO assessment should apply to the second. And I'd be happy to clarify that for you.
Okay.
I have another question. If there weren't HERO, what would be the way for people to finance these various improvements?
That's a good question. They could use a credit card. They could use a home energy line of, or a home energy line of credit. They could home equity line of credit. Thank you. Talking about energy all the time. There are different things that they could do. PACE is the only thing that ties the repayment of a loan to the property taxes.
Okay. HERO offers an awful lot of services, computer programs to track this, that, and the other thing. Am I right in assuming that your income is generated from interest?
You were right.
Okay. So I guess my question, I don't know if you guys looked into this at MBAG, but where does it measure up? You can't provide all these services without charging a little bit more than the guy down the street who doesn't do these services. So where does it fit in there? Do you have any idea?
Well, I mean, you heard the interest rates.
Yeah.
It is, it's you're paying interest. It's a government program. I don't know if you picked up, but the basically the counterpart to AMBAG from Riverside County is who put this whole thing together and generated this entire program, and and now they're basically expanding it across, making it available to other areas. But it was empowered by, I think, by the legislature to put this sort of program together, the legislation to create this sort of program, they took the lead and have generated it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty fantastic, I think.
Exactly. So state legislation in 2008 created what we today call PACE, and enabled us to create HERO, which is a PACE program.
Right.
And we work with our JPA, WRCOG, and Western Riverside Council of Governments to administer that program.
Yeah.
So
And
is,
I believe, oh, sorry, Mayor, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I believe that our interest rates are competitive with all of our competitors.
is Hero then a nonprofit, or is it a company that's a stock company, or?
It's a for-profit company. Right now, we're a private company.
Okay. And PACE is a government program?
PACE is legislation that enabled us to work with communities to create a public-private partnership to put the repayment of the loan on your property taxes. So really it just said we can work with communities, we can work with the city to say, yes, we want to give constituents the option to put this assessment onto their property taxes.
Out of all your applicants, what percentage are you not able to help because they don't have the equity in them?
That's a good question. I can look up our stats. I don't have those stats with me tonight, but I'm sure I can look those up. Our program is really geared towards people that do have equity in their home, so people who just bought a home and may not have that equity. This program isn't necessarily geared towards them. It might be in the long term, but someone who's owned their home for 30 years but might not have that much cash sitting around and needs a new roof, this program is really designed for them.
Which is maybe not a bad thing, because you've probably extended yourself to the limit to buy the house in the first place. And so taking on another
10%
loan
is
is
pretty,
probably not a good idea,
10% is a pretty minimal.
10%. Oh, yeah. You don't need to generate a lot of equity to qualify for the loan in theory, but I'm sure it is relative to the amount of the loan too. You're not going to have 10%. I'm not going to have 10% equity in my house and borrow very much money because my house didn't cost very much. But Jim, on the other hand.
But Tony.
Tony.
Hey, I've been here for 60 years, man.
Talking equity over
You're
here.
right. I should have bought when I bought.
Except you weren't alive.
You weren't born yet.
I wasn't born.
Yeah, that $58 payment's pretty tough each month.
Were there any other public comments? Chuck?
As a community homeowner of San Juan, I just want to bring to the attention of the council this pass-through to your property tax. This has become the newest thing I've seen, and where things are being passed through right to your property tax. This way they're locked in, they're guaranteed they're going to get their money. If somebody uses a credit card and go bankrupt, well, guess what? It's not going to be paid. So it's got its pluses and minuses. I just want to put it out there because it seems like every time I turn around there's a pass-through coming onto my property tax. And it started out at 2 or 3 and now we're at 11. And everybody, the hospital puts it on there, the fire department puts it on there, everybody puts on some piece on it. And they know if you don't pay it, then they can put a lien on your property. And then you can be forced to sell your property one day to pay those liens. So just beware of the pluses and minuses. I just want to bring that to your attention because to me, it's more of a guaranteed thing for Hero to make sure they get their money.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'll let you guys know. But this pass-through is really starting to bother me. Well, if you don't pay your garbage, it's pass-through. And, if you don't pay this, it's pass-through. And they basically are locking up your equity of your home. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
May I comment? Thank you so much for that comment. So that actually brings up a great point. The Governor Jerry Brown, created a $10 million loan loss reserve for that purpose. So if someone defaults on their PACE-backed assessment, then instead of the communities paying for that or the homeowner being stuck with that, then the state will help with that out of that $10 million cost reserve.
There's a lot of paperwork involved in it.
Probably.
I'm sorry, but
$10 million
I'm a finance
worth.
guy, and I kind of see the numbers flash before me all the time.
Well, we also, I've said this a couple times before, but we have a dedicated team that's there pretty much around the clock to answer any questions. I don't believe that we have had a default yet, and I think I read the stats earlier. We have quite a lot of projects in California. Our focus is really working with the homeowners and the communities. We don't want you to default at all.
There's 375
so
people.
if that means working with the homeowner
Is that
to
what I
come
saw?
up with a good solution for them, that's something that we'd
Or
be happy to do.
175.
Okay, any other public comment on this? Okay, we'll close it and bring it back to the council. Any discussion?
I think it's a good thing to have it. I wouldn't use it myself, but then I know everybody in construction. So I would, but I think it's good to have available to the residents of the city.
I agree. I think it's a great option for people, and I don't think there's a downside for us to adopt it.
More options is going to make it more competitive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really doubtful on it. I didn't like some of the things I read in here, but knowing that you guys studied it at AMBAG impresses me, and that it was over a long term. So maybe if I read this more and wrapped my head around it, I might have fewer questions. So, okay. What's the pleasure of the council?
Move to approve, is it item?
Gotta read it.
It's
Resolution.
Well,
don't
no,
have a
it's in
number
the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Move to approve item G of the consent agenda.
I'd second that.
And that Connie is resolution
F.
number
That would be
F.
6.
4F.
6.
Robert,
Oh,
resolution number 6.
6.
It's been moved,
Seconded.
seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Councilmember West,
Yes.
Councilmember Bach,
Aye. I jumped ahead, Jim.
Right.
Vice Mayor Margarita,
Aye.
Mayor Reg,
Yes.
all members of the council being present.
And by the consent item of approving C, that was resolution,
6.
if this is 6, that would be 5?
G? Yeah.
Or is it vice versa? They made the motion for consent, and it's number C had a resolution.
So did G,
Then G, and
Yeah.
and then
then
F.
after that. So it might be C is 6. G is
So 6, we got 6, 7, and 8?
Okay, so, yeah.
Okay.
Junie.
Number 5, presentations, informational items, and reports. Treasurer's report, Chuck?
Good evening, council and city people. This is a great time. A lot of people don't know that we've been in the planning for over a year to do a refinance of our debt. And I just want to tell you, it's as of December 23rd, 2015, the city refinanced its existing debt. That was a great thing for San Juan, I can tell you, the public, as well as the council, and the council knows, but this really helps San Juan. And it frees up money for us to work on future projects, as well as bringing down the interest rate, which was beginning to soar up to 5-6%. Down, we've locked it in at 3% for a number of years. So I just want to say that's really great news. I see a real balance in our finances. So we still have to be careful because we're still losing some money in our enterprise funds. but this creates a real positive cash flow for us to do what we need to do. And I'm excited. I know that we've been talking about this pellet plant, and I actually see that we can do this now. And wouldn't it be great for one day we can turn off our softeners, because we finally got it done, and that's going to cost several $100,000. And I know Roger's been working on this, so I just want to let the public know that by doing the refinance, we moved our debt around and given us some free money to, not free money, but money that we can use. I don't want to ever use free, because I don't want people to come here and start asking for money right
It ain't
left.
free.
Please don't give it away, because I don't know if we can do this again. But anyway, just a couple of notes here. We're operating at a positive cash flow. I think we were moving in the negative direction, and this really bumped us forward. So I want to let the council know and the public that we're operating in a cash flow positive, and that's where we want to stay. We don't want our checkbooks to go negative.
It's nice not having that payback bill.
Oh, and I'll tell you that, people, when we did all these projects for infrastructure, besides, this big debt we had, we also had a couple companies that did things for us, paybacks. And we had some big bills. And Roger has worked with the council over the last 6 months to pay off pieces of this. Now we've got it paid off through this refinance. And that was saving us, what, Roger, at least, 5% on paybacks and stuff?
$92,000 a year?
$92,000 a year.
I don't want to interrupt, but from a business perspective, Granite Rock, Pavex, working with Roger, they said, was the best thing they ever did. Before that, they were literally thinking of suing the city. They were.
No, I understand.
And they said that working with Roger was the best thing they could do, and I think that's real important, because we work with contractors, not that but all of them. And the ability of this city to get itself out of that problem, I think, was really good. And we got really good feedback.
Agreed.
And Roger gets really good credit for that.
But the council does too, because the direction is given by the council.
Yeah, because
But,
I work for the council.
Yeah.
You guys tell me what to do.
They know the council.
We appreciate
personally.
it.
We know, Roger.
We're glad to have you.
We're thinking this.
And no, you don't get a raise, Roger. I hate to be, bringer of bad news, but anyway, with that said, so yes, we still have concerns, and I think the public needs to be aware. We still have concerns. With the enterprise fund has been losing money. We know that. That's your water and sewer. But good news. Look at the rain we got. I mean, our aquifers are filling up. Things looking good, right? So I think everything's green out there, and that's nice. So I just want to say, I've been in this town over 20 years, and I just think we're at one of the best places I've ever seen financially in terms of what the city is the direction we're moving. One thing that the city manager has done really good is making sure that our expenses are that they're things that we have to spend money on. There's things that that we can pull back. He's done a real good job of managing it, so the expenses versus the income is pretty much balanced. So real positive for San Juan. And with that said, there was also a couple things I don't want to go through too much, but make sure you take a look at the profit and loss previous year comparison. It was in your packet. I don't want to get into it, but it really shows some good numbers for things that have been going on. And the last thing I want to bring up, because I know we've got the fire department and right behind me and the police department, they all want to get going too. So real quick, let's just jump to the warrant list. I thought you might have a couple questions on the warrant list. The warrants are the checks we write. We average just under $100,000 a month we spend in warrants. 90,000, 85 more. And this doesn't include, employee stuff. Well, yes, it does. Part of it is. That's right, benefits.
Sure.
But I just want to bring it to your attention that the city of Hollister, that $38,000, that's part of our contract with the fire department that we pay, quarterly? Is that right, Roger? Quarterly. Jumping down towards the bottom, if you look at Cooper's controls, it was $1,000, and then the second page there was one for I think the Brown Company. Those were, I believe, those were sewer plant repairs that we had to make, pumps and stuff. I mean, it happens. We have to pay that stuff. So the San Juan Bautista Committee, that's the group, and they're really hard workers to promote our city. That's we have an agreement with them. I think, what is it, Roger, like $5,000 a year, and this is another one of the installments.
Isn't it?
And those people work hard. I think it's worth the money. And then I think there was one other one. And Roger, help me out. The Marlene Kane and Associates. What was that one?
Oh, that was a training seminar.
Oh, okay. That was a training for our city clerk over here. It was training cost. With that said, was there any other ones on the list that you might want to question?
Our PG&E bill, is that a little higher this time?
Yes. It just keeps creeping up. I think last time it was maybe, about $500 or $600 cheaper?
Trish, no heaters.
Do you know Trish? Anyway, we've got to pay it. It's PG&E, right? So.
Is it a pass-through?
Can we use the hero plan for this?
Is it a pass-through?
I was just going to ask.
I'll vote for that one.
Do we have 10% equity?
10% equity. Can we sell part of the city?
Probably not.
All right.
I doubt it.
Anybody ask questions?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Page 1, the very last line, $575,000.
In October.
The treasurer's report.
Oh,
Page 1.
Treasurer's
Sorry.
Let me pull it real
Yeah.
quick.
Apologize.
Right. And
That
that's,
used to be 779?
774.
774. Okay.
so
Good.
it's amazing how much we're decreasing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the graph on expenses, the debt to from it gone way down to nothing. Yeah.
But in all fairness, remember we have extended the number of years of our debt.
Yeah.
So
No, we didn't extend
No,
it.
it's still 2043, 26.
Exactly.
That's
It's
right.
not, yeah, we didn't
We
extend it.
just recapitalized it
Yeah.
and refinanced it to where we got better interest rates at a lower
okay, so we
savings.
kept the same.
Tony and I are
debt.
going to celebrate when that's paid off.
You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about the actual cost to us for doing the refinance.
I'm not going to say nothing.
We'll recover that expense in about 2 years of going through the process. That's what I meant to say earlier. We've got costs. We know there's costs. Anytime you do a refinance, there's costs. But we'll recover those in a couple of years. Okay.
I think just
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. And ladies.
We have the sheriff's report next, and I would like to move 7E up
Great.
and take that item at the same time. Seems to make sense. Would you like to?
Mayor, City Council, thanks for having me over tonight, appreciate it. I like free money, that sounds pretty good, that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. So, Roger, well, for you guys don't know me, I'm Captain Tony LaMonica with the Sheriff's Office. I used to be over operations, now I'm an admin, so that's why you guys don't see me much anymore. I know you miss me, Tony, but... So, anyway.
Well, it was a judge at a Christmas parade.
Roger asked me to come speak to you guys tonight about technology that the Sheriff's Office is pursuing for all their new vehicles that they've purchased. And so I also wanted to come to the board tonight and talk to you guys about your vehicle that you guys have purchased for the Sheriff's Office and the equipment that we would like to put in that vehicle. So I did a 6-month study for new computers in our vehicles and also for in-car cameras, replacing our old in-car cameras because they're at over 10 years old now, and we can't even replace those parts anymore. So with my study, we found Data 911 was the computers that we're going with out of Alameda. I checked with 12 other departments that currently are using Data 911 computers, and they love them. I didn't want just computers to last 2-3 years. I want them to last at least 10 years. And the agencies that I talked to all have had their computers for 10 years. And that's the monitor itself. They replace the CPU units, they update them and stuff like that, but very minimal cost. So we're currently doing that right now. We're replacing all of our in-car cameras and putting MDCs in our vehicles. The reason why we're going to MDCs is because we're going to a new records management and a jail management system.
What you used an acronym that I'm not familiar with, MDC?
Yeah, multi-data computers, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've never had computers in our vehicles before, so now the deputies will be able to be, in San Juan Bautista, be able to run a vehicle, be able to run, Rick Edge if they need to without getting on the radio. And so it's really convenient for the deputies to use instead of bug and dispatch. So with that, in fact today, WatchGuard came in today for the in-car cameras. They gave us they installed our computers for us and our in-car cameras, and also are updating our servers and everything else. So they're here for a few days doing that and doing some training. Anyway, with that, each vehicle is going to cost approximately $18,000 to outfit with MDCs and in-car cameras. So, and I gave Roger Grimsley a breakdown of each cost, and I'll update that cost for him too. But it's approximately $17,541.37 for the MDC and the in-car camera.
For just our unit?
Yes. And we're putting them in 7 of our vehicles. And that's Robert, that's, your, the computer, the Wi-Fi, the GPS, the antenna. I mean, that's every installation, the the Windows service, the support system, and everything else.
I'm presuming that when the new car comes in, it can be transferred?
Yes. And that's the other thing, Tony, that's why I looked into these computers and the in-car cameras, is because I didn't want to have to replace them within 7 to 10 years. Now we just have to replace, some of just do updates on it. So Holster PD just went to the WatchGuard system also. So we had a demo with 3 different in-car cameras, and WatchGuard came out above anybody else. And same as the Data 911 computers. Literally the screens, in fact I did them today, the screen on the Data 911 computer, you can punch it. Seriously, like that hard, and it doesn't break, because cops break things. But that's the thing, I don't want to come back to you guys in 2 years and say, we broke something, or it's out of date. Well, it's true, because, cops need stuff that they're easy to work and stuff that's unbreakable. And like I said, I don't want to come back.
Do they have an insurance for it?
In 2 years, we have warranties for them, yes.
Warranties, but I mean like insurance?
Yeah. Now, they warranty the screen for up to 10 years.
It's a lot. I mean, I know it's a good thing. If you break it up over the 10 years, it's probably not too bad, but
I'm curious about the mileage that gets put on our car versus, I guess what I'm getting at, Tony, is this equitable that your 7 other cars, I don't know how many miles or how often you replace them, but ours is every 3 years, I believe.
3 years.
And
or depending on the mileage, we try to replace them at least at 85 to 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
So.
And the question was asked to me is, how do you put 85,000 miles on a San Juan Bautista car in 3 years' time?
We actually did the math on that.
We did.
It was 7 days a week, up and down each street 6 times.
Thanks, Robert.
He's got a lot of free time,
He must be avoiding 4th Street, because, but
Of course,
it was asked
Street.
to me, Tony, I have to ask you, is,
Your vehicle's only being used for San Juan. It's not being used for anywhere else.
well, okay.
Now, I'm not going to say if
I believe
one
it.
of our units is in need of cover, that San Juan Bautista deputy's not leaving here and going South County or somewhere. But that's going to happen.
Sure.
But the South County, your vehicle is only being used for San Juan patrols. That's it.
So,
And the answer, I think I answered your question. So in say in 3 years, if we have to replace a new vehicle, all that equipment from that vehicle will be transferred over. Yes. No matter what kind of vehicle it is. So if you go back to a Dodge Charger, that equipment can go on that Dodge Charger instead of an Explorer.
I guess the other question I have to ask is there someplace in the budget for this $18,000?
Well, we don't have it in this budget here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Look, could the sheriff's department work with maybe spreading this out over some time?
or could we use the HERO program?
Well, like right now, the way we're paying for ours is all through grant funds. So as soon as we purchase it, we have to pay for it. So I mean,
Is there any grants available to us?
To our city?
well, why wouldn't we be covered under the grant if it's
That the
the
sheriff's
sheriff's
department has,
department? Are we not, has that been explored? Did you know?
that I don't know.
Our challenge is that well, I mean, you heard the treasurer's
Financially
report,
challenged.
Yeah.
we're right up against it, and our budget is, we're locked in till June, so, I mean, obviously, we can move some things around, but,
It's like our South County vehicle. We're not paying out of this grant to pay for a South County vehicle. You know, the ag pays for that. So the ag money will pay for,
sure,
you know, if we have that available.
sure.
So that's how we separate it from, you know, whether it's South County, our ag vehicle, or Salem Batista.
Okay.
well, how did the sheriff's department qualify for the grant?
It was through the community partnership, it's through probation. Probation's on that, and the jail's on that, the sheriff's office is on it, the police department is on that, and that's how we applied for the grant.
That's the only problem I see is where we're gonna get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the community corrections partnership is what it is. That's how we got the grant. They allotted us so much amount of money, so that's why, I mean, we have like 15 vehicles, so we only were able to outfit ours for seven vehicles.
This may be a really stupid question, but when the sheriff comes from the sheriff office to San Juan Batista, why doesn't he take a county sheriff car, park it, get in the other car, and drive it around the town? And then if he has to go out of town, he goes back and he switches cars. I mean, it's a dumb question, but why not? Yeah, I mean, if it's paid for by the taxpayers in the city, and, I mean, I know that you probably put more miles on going back and forth to the sheriff's department than you actually do in town, it just seems a kind of a burden.
You know, we're probably getting off track here.
Okay, sorry.
The item.
Thank you.
Well, I prefaced it, so I was acting stupid.
Let's open it up for public comment, and then we
Well-
can ask Captain Lamont more questions after that. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this item or ask questions?
So we kind of have both. We have the,
Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back here. Okay. Discussion. Budget.
Yeah, well,
Let
When
me
would
ask
it-
you this, Captain Lamonica, if we don't purchase now, are we able to get the same price in 6 months? or
Oh,
5
yes, like I said, Mayor, because we're only doing 7 of our vehicles now, so I'm putting in for budget, in our budget for our other 70 vehicles that we're gonna have to, after July. So, yeah, I'm doing our budget right now for that.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So we don't
Through
lose the
county
pricing?
funds, yeah,
We won't lose this pricing?
Okay,
no.
Okay.
yeah. So
Good question.
if we could plan for it, Tony, I mean, but this just, 18 grand,
Yes. I understand.
why don't we put it off until
we're 4 months in
June or
budget.
July?
Yeah.
Well,
Same thing we're doing with our vehicles,
We don't
or
have-
with our other ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
my-
I know.
That would certainly be my inclination. I will say that I think that anything we can do to improve efficiency for the officers while they're here is a good idea. But given the budget constraint, I think we have to hold it for the next fiscal budget.
I think we're in agreement that we want the system, but it's just like my wife wants things, and
Well, Obviously, technology is a big deal. We're also looking at body cameras.
Actually, it's me that wants things.
I understand. Body cameras are coming down the road too. And,
Yeah.
you know, the deputies do need the technology because,
yeah.
you know, we
They get
need to
sued.
protect ourselves. They're going to get sued.
Yeah.
And that's the way, you know, society is now. And with the cameras being better than they were before and technology being better, the equipment's going to last longer and officers are going to be able to, you know, protect themselves better too.
Okay, we have an item before us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the direction would be is to wait and wait and when we prepare the budget.
Yeah, see if we can get that 18,000 in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Roger, I'll get you an updated list. Thank you.
Thank you. So we probably still need to vote, or do we just give direction?
Correct?
Well, yeah, you'll vote on it when we approve the budget.
When it-
So
okay.
You just give me direction, then I will start to work on the revenue sources too.
Okay, yeah. But that's also why we used to have a police department, and now it's so expensive. Because we used to do it, and we didn't have all kind of stuff.
There were other things involved with our police department.
Yes.
Well,
I understand that.
the other
part.
thing you can possibly, Roger, is look to see where they got their grant money from.
Yeah.
And is there a source for that? I mean,
And it's just like, I think, we talked about cameras and Homeland Security.
Yeah.
And that's another avenue.
Okay, so we will go back to item 5C, Fire Chief's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Council. All right, so this is just a quick overview. I believe you guys all have copies of this report. From January 1st, 2015 through February 3rd, 2016, the Hollister Fire Department ran a total of 310 calls total in service in the county area. In District 4, which is the area served in San Juan Bautista, we ran to 29 calls, 3 of which were fires, 2 were vehicle accidents, 10 were EMS, and 14 were what we call other public assists, those types of things.
Didn't we ask for that to, that's coming out of this station, but it's sometimes out of the city?
It's in
Wouldn't
the
we
county.
talk about,
Well,
you asked them last time.
In the department, everything's broken up by districts.
Yeah.
Each station has a district it covers.
Yeah,
And to
So
break
we
it up
don't-
just within the city limits, it's difficult to pull that for us.
okay. But you asked that at the fire police.
I got a question. That's the whole year, 2015?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing. Is this
Oh,
for a
this-
year
that's
and a month, or?
This is a little over 2 months.
Okay, so it's
It says
January 1st
January
of
1st of this year, it's a month
2016.
and 2 days.
January 1st of 2016.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just, it says
If not a year,
2015.
if we want to report for a year, we'd have to bring that back.
No,
No,
the
it
report
says
says
2015.
2015.
Oh, it does,
For
okay, it's a
fine,
misprint.
Yeah.
That's what our question was.
Got it, I
Okay.
see it, okay.
That's
Great.
why it threw him for a loop.
Yeah, it made it look really good, you know?
I was like, no, that's quite a few calls. there.
Yeah.
That's all you're running?
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, if you've been able to review the report, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Reserve count here?
So if you've been able to observe what's on the report, it covers some apparatus issues and stuff, which I covered last time I was here. I don't know if you have any questions about any of them.
The reserves.
Total reserves right now, we sit at 23.
And how about station here?
For Station 4.
Station 4 reserves, offhand, I believe are about 9.
Okay.
How many of those are new?
We haven't had, the last hiring was a while back, it was about 6 months ago, and we haven't added to the pot yet. We just did some more interviews last month, and we've got a list established now. We've got some issues with equipment that's gonna need to be purchased before we move forward, and we're revamping some of the training, so it's good. Start of our next academy has been delayed about 30 days, so we're looking late February, maybe early March, till we get caught up.
Excuse me, I can hear you up here. Could you? Excuse me, I can hear you up here. Could you please? Thank you. No questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, library report is in our material. Any questions?
Nope.
Administrative report.
Okay, and Mr. Mayor, members of council, just to kind of give you a bird's eye view of the Public Works Department, we initiated some of the work, preliminary work for the Rudy Park, and that's a project that has been sponsored by the Rotary, San Juan Bautista Rotary, County of San Benito, and the City of Hollister, and Sonora Vasquez has done a remarkable job of putting that together with all the volunteers, as well as Granite Rock, donating base rock. We're proceeding there, and I think we'll have another load tomorrow. We'll have 2 loads, and then we'll have the base rock ready, and Monday the contractor will be moving in to put the rubberized base in.
Yeah, right on.
You
Monday.
know, I hate to do this, but
Fantastic.
I've heard that the rubber that's used in playgrounds comes from tires.
Not this material.
Not this.
What the issue? This has come up a number of times, and so the material that is carcinogenic is a ground tire, and it looks like sort of like bark if you put out mulch. The material that's being used for the park is a pour-in-place, catalyzed. It's going to look like a sheet of plastic out there, and it is completely different and entirely safe.
Okay, so it doesn't have the chemicals.
It's not a
in it that tires
recycled.
have?
Yeah, it's not. It's a
They were
completely
putting that in
different material.
artificial turf.
Okay.
Yeah,
Probably was.
it's a nice, squishy, very cool stuff.
Okay, great. That's
Do you
good.
know what
Thank
color
you.
it's going to be?
Yes. It's a combination of green and orange.
Sounds awful.
Try to imagine where that color came from.
Green and black.
Oh, that's different colors. Oh, it's not green. Did you guys donate that? No.
It was one of the conditions of the donation. Okay. Thank you, Roger.
Okay, and the other item is that we've been doing some inventory of our meter system. You know, when the 2008 COP project, they bought a bunch of water meters. They did about half the system. And so we have half of them we manually read them, the other half we're doing the auto readers. And what happened is that whatever transpired, I don't know, but the meters that were sold were obsolete to begin with. But we've inventoried, and we've got an idea, and we've got a firm that's willing to finance us to bring our system up to standard with a new software. I'll be getting back to you and everything, and they'll be financing it at a very low rate of 2.2%. So it's very attractive. And so I'll be bringing that at probably the next meeting to show you what it's going to do. And the key to it now is it takes one of our maintenance men sometimes almost 3 days sometimes to read the whole system. You know, with the new system, a person can do it in about 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours. They'll just drive by and it'll just be reading it automatic.
And those go in.
That's what we were told
That's
8 years ago.
And the nice part about it is it can instantly go back to the computer technician, which it can be reading instantaneously.
Now, are you going to have to retrofit the meters?
The existing meters,
That's
you
what
just
it was
take that
about.
off and put the new one in. Now, there are 750 meters in there. Half of them don't have the auto readers,
Right.
so we have to re-equip those, and that's the most expensive part.
Somebody made a lot of money out of it.
And then the planner, we've been working on the general plan, and it's in front of you tonight. The planning commission approved it, and we hope that we can move forward with that. There's been a lot of work, and it started 2 years ago, and with the Cal Poly students, and I did a remarkable job and stuff. And tonight we'll have some minor corrections. We want to make sure that reflects in there. In the city manager department, I just outlined a lot of things that I'm kind of working on concurrently and stuff like that. And I'm certainly always welcome to input from the council to establish some priorities of what you would like to see. Particularly the last one under I is that I'm identifying some of the streets for asphalt overlays and cape seals. And you guys, you're in the community just as much as I am running around, and I need your input for that. The cape seals are more for asphalt that was put down several years and it's still in good shape. But if we let it go, then it'll start to deteriorate, and then we seal it to keep the water from going down.
Yeah, chip seal.
The overlays are ones where the asphalt is pretty much deteriorated, and we're going to have to put a structural section on that.
Well, I like 3rd Street because I think it really builds up your strength when you try to pull parallel park and open your door. That is a real feat of strength. That thing crowns higher than the curb. We have to take that, it has to be cut out, We've identified that in cost. And underneath that 3rd Street is a concrete, 20-foot wide concrete pad, that goes the length. That's the old 101 highway, So it's going to be a major effort to take that out.
Roger, what was the result of the 7th Street issue on the Planning Commission?
On
the 7th Street issue that was solved at the Planning Commission level? What happened on that?
That was one of the projects that they approved. That was initiated back in 2006, and it was authorized as a condition of compliance, and then a lot line adjustment. And then they approved site and design review for 4 lots. Well, the site design went null and void because he didn't build them, but the lots were created and they're legal lots. So the Planning Commission approved it with the new design review of the 4 lots. And there are 2 houses on the front part of the 7th Street, a single story, and the 2 houses in the back are split level, where it's split level where a bedroom is above the garage. And there was some minor lot line divisions and stuff like that to handle the setbacks and stuff like that.
So
we all went away with something that was reasonable, and I think it'll work in the area.
So the neighbors were happy, were they? Okay.
And incidentally, it's conditioned upon continuing the sound wall heading in a south direction, so we'll have a sound wall across that. And it's very similar to what the San Antonio project, they're extending that sound wall north through its property boundaries.
Does the developer pay for the sound wall extension?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great, thank you. Okay.
Can I have a couple of questions?
Yes.
There was some question or comment about the sheriff's substation on site here. Has there been any conversation with the sheriff's department about that?
There was a dialogue where the building department used to be, and we vacated that. It's a little room right next to the alcove coming in here, and we were always going to encourage that to be the sheriff's substation where they could pull in, and then they could operate out of there. It would have a printer and a phone line and stuff like that.
Is that something they want? I'm not really clear on what the purpose of a sheriff's substation is.
Especially when you put computers in the cars and they don't need them.
Is
They
that
can print in the car.
So it's not really.
It hasn't been pushed. Officer Brown was interested at one time.
Okay.
And it hasn't been brought up and everything, but
Okay.
we'll work with them.
No, I was just curious. It's not something I'm really familiar with. I mean, it seemed like there were pluses and minuses when it was over at the school. Obviously here would be, perhaps better, but okay. I was curious about that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Public meetings and city council committee reports. You want to go first?
Sure.
Chris?
The intergovernmental committee's been talking a lot about collaboration and development and communication and development. And one of the projects that's been discussed that is maybe getting some traction is something they're referring to as the TEL Center, which will be a new library, technology and education center. That's the idea. And because the library in Hollister is, not adequate. That's a pretty long-term goal. There's some talk about having it sited at the high school in Hollister. But that's something everybody should be aware of. That's why there was talk about a needs assessment, because they're talking about a pretty significant project. Related, maybe, there is a group of, they've created a nonprofit organization in Hollister to create an aquatic center, a swim center. And they are proposing that the swim center be located at the high school, on the high school grounds, and that it be able to service both the high school and be used for private events and community events and community classes and so forth. It's a pretty ambitious project that seems to be getting some reasonable amount of support, and it sounds like they're going to take it to the County Board of Supervisors for them to integrate that into their larger parks program, because I guess that was one of the possibilities for their major park project adjacent to the high school. And so there may be a way for them to work together. But they're talking about the county, the city, and the schools all pitching in to finance that as well. And they are interested in making a presentation to us, the nonprofit, so we may be asked to put that on our agenda at the next meeting or a future meeting. But that's 5 or 10 minutes and more informational. There's not been any conversation about us being asked for any money, so don't get nervous.
Yeah. They put a price. They put a price on it at 16 million, almost 16 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see, that there is a new transportation plan in the works at AMBAG. I gather they've already been to meet with Roger and doing their growth plans that's going to translate into this transportation plan for the region. So that's an ongoing every few years, but it's coming up soon. There's also a position open on the Monterey Bay, the park, basically the reserve. Their sanctuary advisory council has, I guess, multiple openings, and so they were soliciting for people to join that group. And then lastly, there is I brought flyers for everybody. On Wednesday, April 20th, there's a 100th birthday celebration for the Park Service at Pinnacles National Park, and we have all been invited. It's hosted by the city of King City. So I'll pass these around for everybody. Go ahead and take one. So that's what I had for committee reports.
Okay, great. Tony, did you have anything?
Well, Jim will have to give most of the COG report because I wasn't there. The only thing I wanted to mention, and unfortunately I don't have the time, COG is going to have an unmet transit needs meeting here in the City Council chambers on the 16th of March, but they didn't give me the time. And anyways, you're aware of that. And then the rest of it Jim does.
I have something, if you could take back to COG.
Yeah.
The sign has been destroyed on the the bus stop next to the baseball field. And so there's a red zone, but there's basically no signage on the bus stop. And it would be nice to have a bus stop sign.
Oh, okay. Oh,
That is part of the improvements that we're working with COG to put that on, yeah. Let's extend the curb and gutter.
There's a pole, I'm talking about, I think, on the other side, on McCullamy.
Yeah.
There's a pole and a little placard, but the sign, it looks like it got broken off or something. It looks like it's been vandalized, but anyway.
so you're already working on that?
The bus stop, yeah, right. We have plans and everything, and we'll work on specifications to get that out, you know.
Okay.
Okay. Robert?
Just the intergovernment with that, the fire meeting, pretty much everything that Rodney brought up was mainly an update. And my Monterey Bay air quality is tomorrow.
Okay. Great. Jim?
Well, the first one on the water resources, so, you know, as Chuck said, I think Chuck left, it's nice and green. It's not, the drought is still here. All the rain means nothing. I mean, it's just the drought, they're not going to lift the sanctions, the state's not going to lift it, and it's really important for people to realize that, you know, if you drive through the reservoir going over the hill, we're still in the drought and we got a long way to come out. Yeah. Let's not forget that. And then with COG, that was kind of a disappointment because Tony is the new chair and they wouldn't let me sit in the chair and be the chair. So they looked at me and said, you know, Tony Bach, get the hell out of here, you know. But the COG has got the half-cent 30-year tax. They want to have a bond for 30 years so they can bond for it. And that is going to go on the November ballot. And of course, it's going to go on the June ballot.
June ballot.
Because on the November ballot, there's 4 bond sales tax measures going on. One for the city of Hollister, one for the county of San Benito, to bring their sales tax up so it's par, and then for the 2 school bonds will be coming back onto it. So hopefully the COG will get through and get it passed in June, and we'll get it done. But they'll be glad to have Tony back, because after voting him in his chair, and they were sorely disappointed when I showed up.
You're right-handed, right? So you can use the gavel. Yeah. You won't have any trouble with that. Okay. I had a LAFCO meeting, and the annexation of the 4 acre piece down by the gas station, by the Valero gas station, went through. That was approved.
Good.
Okay, let's go to...
Can I ask you something about LAFCO?
Yeah.
Why is it that all of a sudden, like the cemetery, we're getting stuff from them, and then he wanted this whole thing about who the directors were when we had our meetings and all this other stuff. What's that all about?
It's basically housekeeping that was never done before.
Oh.
That needs to be done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's getting everything in ship shape.
Okay.
Somebody have a question?
Neighborhood Watch report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I always forget, don't I? Yes. I'm sorry, Eric.
That's okay. No problem. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We did have a meeting last Thursday. Nothing particular on the agenda, just standard issues were discussed. But we did have a higher than normal turnout. We had like 15, 18 people, which for Neighborhood Watch was pretty big. There was a lot of concern with the perceived lack of patrol in the city. We had a discussion about that. I think it's an agenda item tonight as well. There was an attempted break-in on Church Street mid-morning, daylight hours. Apparently somebody tried to, somebody knocked on the door or tried jiggling the door, and the person inside just started screaming, and that person ran off. Sheriff did respond and look for the person. I don't know what the outcome of that was. I didn't hear anything specific. There was also, as most of you probably heard, there was an armed robbery at the Valero station a couple of weeks back. My understanding is that The suspects are probably not from this specific area. My understanding is that there have been no arrests in that yet, though. There was some people asking about Neighborhood Watch stepping up and putting on more information on our website, which we can do our best to try to get that in with the time that we have. But they had, their suggestion was maybe putting a reminder or something maybe on the water bill every once in a while. I told them I would run it by, I can run it by city staff and find out. My time is somewhat limited in what I have time to put on reports and come up with stuff. So I need to find a helper with that in the Neighborhood Watch. I think I've got just the person for it. Future items, we discussed future items. We're going to be inviting the Santa Cruz Regional 911 dispatch people back to give us another presentation. They were a wealth of information last time. Hopefully we can get them in April. And then also there was a lot of questions about installing home camera systems, similar to the ones you might find at Costco or Amazon. And we have a resident in town who said he knows a fair amount about that, and he would be more than happy to help us put together kind of things to look for, things to ask, requirements, wiring, that type of thing. And we'll put that on our website, of course, and put it on the social media and put it out to our email lists. And there was a concern, I know that there had, it's often talked about vehicles and looking at vehicles coming in and out of our three main entrance points, Monterey Street, 156, the Alameda, and San Juan Highway. But we had a couple of people bring up that they've actually seen people walking up to gain access to the freeway from the Washington Street Bridge. And they were just concerned that that might be something that we might want to look into, if there's a way to more secure it or not secure it. It would be another way that people could get into the city to do thefts. You're obviously not going to rob if we had a bank in town and then run out the Washington Street Bridge, but it would be conceivable you could rob cars and stuff and stuff in the backpack and get out the freeway. So that was something we had from more than one person at the meeting bring up, and I haven't taken a look, but obviously it was a concern, and that's about all that we had on that.
You know, that's a Caltrans fencing problem. We've been complaining about it for years, that they have not fixed that fence. And in fact, I'll mention it at COG.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that'd be something we go to COG and Mary Gilbert and maybe estimation of that.
Good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll go to public hearings. Item A, consider approving 2035 general plan documents.
Mr. Mayor, there are three documents that you have in front of you, and the first document is the background. The background report is more of putting into, from the standpoint of the students that did the thing, the context of the city and how they went about, studying and having, meeting people and stuff like that. It gives us a better description of the city in terms of the context and of the general area and stuff like that. The next document that you're going to look at is the legal document that every general plan is required, and that is the environmental impact report. And that takes a look at the impacts and the mitigations, and it looks at the policies, the programs, the vision, the objectives, and stuff like that. And it takes a look and sees how these impacts will be addressed through mitigation measures all the way through the document. And then the third is the most important, and that's the general plan. And that's the living document that will guide us for the next 20 years through the year 2035. And both the Planning Commission and City Council and the staff uses it on a daily basis to handle almost every project that comes in front of us and for discretionary approval. So, now, there are some corrections that were made, and we passed those out, and these have been incorporated into the document. And these were items that Eric was made in comment on it, Vanda and stuff like that. And we upgraded the document to reflect these items here. And those were documented with the Plan Commission's approval. And the last documentation I was kind of referring to Deborah was we were talking about the noise, and there was some confusion of one of the policies versus another policies, and we got that straightened out so that it was consistent with one to the other, so that we made sure that when we do adopt this, that it will help us out in terms of our noise ordinance and our application.
I just wanted to make sure that two things are on the record when you're approving your general plan. So the documents that are in the record right now are the general plan, the EIR with the mitigation monitoring chart attached, and the Planning Commission staff report and record of any comments made at the Planning Commission, as well as any comments that are made here tonight. And the other thing I wanted to get on the record was the Planning Commission vote, that the Planning Commission reviewed this, and I believe they voted unanimously. Is that correct, Roger?
Yes.
To approve this and recommended approval by the City Council.
Mm-hmm. With the exception of one of the Planning Commissions was absent, he was not there, you know. Mm-hmm. And so it was unanimous of the four that did that.
I think one thing important is that you need a super majority vote to approve the general plan tonight. So that means you need 4 commissioners tonight to approve or 4 council members to approve the general plan.
And that's what Deborah is saying. This is consistent with the Government Code 65356 that I put in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment? Do we have any speaker cards? No speaker cards. Okay, we'll close that and bring it back here. We have 3 items here. 1, 2, and 3 under A. Any questions or comments?
I believe that I attended all of the public meetings and have been involved, along with you, with the Strategic Plan Committee, who spent a lot of time reviewing back and forth and so forth. And I've gone through the documents, I think, pretty extensively, and I'm very happy with the result. So I don't have any issues.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I was very involved in the San Benito County General Plan Amendment when I was on the Vice President of the Citizens Input on that, and after and then reviewing this, and I think it reads good to me. So.
Okay. Robert?
Good, thanks.
Tony?
I'm happy with it. Okay. Actually took it home and read it.
Okay.
Connie? Number?
This would be 09, 2016
09. Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 separate resolutions. So we need 3 votes, right?
Yes.
9, 10, and 11?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it would be appropriate to take them separate, each resolution, make the motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, resolution number 2016-09, a resolution to the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the 2035 General Plan Background Report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Locke?
Yes.
Councilmember Warren?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margareta?
Aye.
Mayor Rich?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is certified and passes unanimously.
Okay, we have now Resolution 2016-10.
It's your turn, man. I did it.
I move we pass a resolution to the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the final environmental impact report for the 2035 general plan.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Aye.
Councilmember Lund?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Margarita?
Aye.
Mayor Reddish?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
All right, I'll move resolution number 2016-11, a resolution of the City Council of the San Juan Bautista adopting the 2035 general plan.
Second.
Second, been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margarita?
Aye.
Mayor Reddish?
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay.
And I'd just like to clarify
Hallelujah.
and the resolution 1610 and 11 with the findings that were in the
Yes.
resolution.
Yes.
But, you know,
Okay. Okay, we'll go to action item 7A. Consider a reimbursement agreement between the County of San Benito, City of San Juan Bautista, and Rotary Club of San Juan Bautista for improvements to Baruti Park.
And I think we need to, Councilman Morani and myself need to recruit ourselves because we're with the Rotary.
We're both Rotarians.
We're both
Oh.
Rotarians.
So we're gonna, I think we should recuse
Unless you
ourselves.
get a financial benefit from being in the Rotary,
Yeah.
you don't really have to disqualify
I think it's
yourself.
the other way
A
around.
financial benefit from Rotary?
Right, if you, right, exactly, so.
Isn't it
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other
you
way
don't know
around?
anything about Rotary.
If you feel you have
That's not the Rotary way.
if you feel you have a bias or you can't vote honestly on this, I mean, you should disqualify yourself, but there's no real conflict of interest.
And there's no conflict with Granite Rocks donating material, and
That may be,
we're not getting paid for it.
I think you might get some benefit though from
Yeah.
Then I'll recruit myself.
the,
Okay.
Do I need to leave room for this, or?
Hit
yes.
the concrete. Get a DC first.
My tether ran out.
Now his electronic leash will kick in.
Okay.
again, this is the formality to just make sure that they're reimbursed back their expense. The county donated money, the Rotary donated money, and the city. And it's just a formality to put it in context that they'll be reimbursed.
Alan? Okay, so reimbursement, how does that, like, we're gonna pay them back for
Robert,
the...
we're not paying anything.
We're not paying
We're
anything,
assuming
right?
liability for a park we already own.
Okay.
All we're doing is indemnifying the county, and that's one of the requirements they had
That's-
to give us the money, basically.
That's
to
the
do it.
paperwork on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we don't do this, we don't get the money.
Okay, let's get the money.
I
Okay.
think that's basically
Yeah.
the size of it.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. Does anybody want to speak on this issue? Okay, hearing none. Bring it back to the council. So we have a reimbursement agreement to okay.
So what do we put that under as,
The resolution or direction to staff, or what?
we have to bring it back
What's
to
the
resolution,
mechanism?
right?
If you want it as a resolution?
I don't know, I'm asking.
I'm going to have to sign it,
It's
so
only
how
on
do
here
we?
for a minute order, so I guess you can give the mayor direction to sign it as a minute order. You don't technically need a resolution.
Okay.
You're not,
So
Sign it,
no
right?
vote then?
you should vote.
We do need a vote?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a resolution, just directing you to
Just direct
sign
me
it.
to sign
You
it,
said an
yeah.
amendment signature?
Minute.
A minute order.
Minute.
I move
order
we
signature.
direct Ricketts to sign this agreement, a
Second.
reimbursement agreement.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember West? He is absent. Councilmember Bach?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Margarita?
Aye.
Mayor Reddish?
Yes.
With 4 members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes 401. Councilmember West?
Yeah, West is disqualified because
Okay.
by conflict of interest.
PQ'd.
John, maybe you could let him know that the break is over.
Thank you.
Do me a favor, thank you. Okay, let's move to 7B, consider resolution 2016-12, authorizing street closure for a farmer's market.
Yes, it's an updated map of the concessions we'll be having, I guess we'll call them.
Jim, I tried to stall.
This was a result of, 2 years ago, we had a farmer's market that positioned on Washington Street, and it turned into not so many produce and farmers, but it was more of a flea market where it had everything but food in that. And so when I looked at it, I just said that the majority and 80% of these things should be food or farm oriented, and rather than jewelry and arts and crafts and everything. And so that was one of the stipulations that I put on it. The sponsor is here, and he'll speak to that.
Okay.
And the background to that is that we caught a lot of flack from the local merchants.
Yeah, that was over the food, wasn't it?
That was over the food, yeah.
Yeah, and so now it looks like we have flavored water, snack, popcorn,
Well, not,
corn and potato snacks, and miscellaneous, 2 miscellaneous. Okay. Hello, Juan. Did you want to talk to us about the project, or?
Yes, sir. This time I come with a proposal to the city of the farmers market, not like a non-profit, basically like a producer. I convert my permits with the county for the ag department, like a producer here for the city of San Juan. That means that I'm getting more schooling. One of those papers that I give to the staff is that it's because we're going to be getting instructions how to run markets this year. Everything changed on the county. This now, if you can see, next month we're going to be getting instructions how to get the program a week for this town. I'm hoping that every single farmer that I met through this year, they support the market. I have a list now that is provided by the county about San Benito that we can continue with the market to be more stronger.
Okay, great. Any questions?
the one concern jumped out at me was the potential conflict with the other street activities that we've already approved tonight. And I know there's a stipulation about working with them, but I would suggest that the other people that have already got those permits, we should probably say they have last right first, or they get the final say.
Final say, yeah. The rib cook-off takes the space.
Yeah.
Right. The arts and crafts take it, so they'll have to yield to those.
Yeah.
Those permitted
The car
use.
show, I'm sure won't be an issue
No.
if it's even a conflict on that
The
weekend.
arts and crafts, the rib cook-off.
Yeah. But the arts and crafts show and that rib cook-off is clearly, and then we know that the antique fair at the end of the year, later in the year, is going to be potentially an issue. But I don't think there's enough booths to be a problem for that. We could probably accommodate that. Yeah, the antique show. Oh, the car show, I'm sure is fine. Because you're only talking about Washington.
So how does this work? In other words, if the other vendors use half of the street between 3rd and 2nd, then he can set up on the remaining half, or he can't set up until they set up, or how does it go?
He has made the thing that he wants every Sunday,
right?
During the thing, except that for the ones that were approved, he cannot occupy those that were approved.
Okay.
So he just won't be able to set up on those days?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
The car show's Saturday, right?
I think it's one day only.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's Saturday or
The arts and crafts and the rib cook-off is a 2-day event.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I comment to this is that we're going to be starting on April 3rd to accommodate those events too.
Great.
Okay. We didn't get public comment on this.
So what I would suggest there is that what he has given you here is no more food booths than what he has demonstrated in his site drawing here.
Okay.
Because we don't want it to end up all food and all
Yeah.
snacks and no produce.
Yeah.
So we'd like to encourage more produce.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a comment for this market. Regarding the farmers market in the past, when I was trying to build the market for San Juan Bautista, in 2010 I was invited to come here to be farmers market. It was a big challenge because we had other activities. For example, Betaville was getting established, and a lot of the vendors that were going to Betaville instead of San Juan Bautista. Now it's being more people that they are wanting to come to this market. And I'm happy that now it's working that way for us because I have a big list now that is going to be helpful for this year.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, let's open it up for public comment. Does anybody want to make any comments on this item? No speaker cards? Okay, we'll bring it back to the council. We have a resolution. So this would be 12, right?
Connie, 12?
So the motion would include, what wording did you say, Roger?
And it would be coordinated with other approved street vendors. And then that's the key word, approved street vendors.
Okay, and then limited to the types of food
And then just
listed
say,
on the
that's
document.
limited to his site,
already in
his site drawing.
Okay.
So the percentage is in here, is in the resolution. Okay. So, I'm a fuzzy. Do we need to add language to this?
The language is good there, the percentage would change to 55%.
55?
55%, yes.
55%.
From 85 to 55?
Yes.
So hearing no motion,
Oh.
do you want to
Motion by
move
title
on?
only, or-
55 is a pretty low percentage. For-
I've got a problem with that. I mean, if the
I do
farmer's
too.
market and half of it's something else.
Yeah.
So what's an entertaining 70? 70?
I don't really, I'm not that familiar with the farmer's market. What's the farmer's market in Hollister? What percentage of agricultural products is that?
I think that one's almost all over the place.
Yeah, I think this is agricultural products or farm-raised produce. I think that the issue I have with it is face painting booths, arts and crafts, cell phone covers, stuff like that, that has nothing to do with
Farmer's market, yeah, right.
yeah, and I mean, a certain percentage is fine, but not at 45% potentially.
No.
That's what I have an issue with. And I'm less concerned about food booths when you're talking about, snack popcorn or, kettle corn or whatever. That I'm less concerned about. But I think my inclination would be to raise the percentage, but allow it to be a combination of prepared food as well, or something like that.
2/3 would be 67%.
Yeah, I'd feel a lot better about it with a higher number.
I would concur with that.
Does that seem reasonable to you?
Normally in the farmers markets they have 50%, but I will be fine with any percentage that you guys require for the city. One of the best things that I have with the markets is that now that we are in this program with the state, is covering different counties. The county of Monterey that is helping me to get the vendors, basically the farmers people, to this county. And it's going to be a big event if we can bring back them to this county. This is one of the maps I have that Monterey County has for all the markets.
Sure.
But it doesn't cover San Diego County. I'm assuming that if I get approved too, we're going to be here too.
I guess what I would like to see that percent go to the 2/3, and what I would suggest is that if it becomes a problem for you, that you come back and talk to us, and we'll have a conversation. But this is because we want to be reasonable. All right, I want to be reasonable.
Yeah, I want you to be successful,
and we want you to be successful. And so if there's particularly in the startup phase, if it's problematic, let's just have a conversation about it. If it becomes a problem, let us know and we'll revisit it. But I'd like to raise that to 67%, if that's all right. 2/3.
Yeah.
Does that seem reasonable? Okay.
Another comment I have for the city is that I moved my my business to accommodate to promote San Juan Bautista. I'm in between 156 and 101 now. To have a billboard that is going to be basically at 156, and then I acquired another property in Blackie Road that is going to have another sign too for the farmers market. It means that there's two properties and two different highways, and a lot of the people that they have in this board, they have promised billboards. And that's one of the things I'm concerned that someone gets more advertisement for the farmers market.
All right. Terrific.
So we're going to do the resolution at 67% by title only on that? Read by title only. You want to do that, Chris?
Sure.
Okay.
I moved, well, there is no title, is there? It just says street closures. Is that all right?
Yes.
I moved to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista authorizing street closures for the farmers market.
With the amended?
With the changes we've discussed.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved.
Yes.
Councilmember Black?
Yes.
Councilmember Lund?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Monterey?
Aye.
Mayor Reg?
Yes. Also,
Motion is stated by the mayor passes unanimously.
we need to change the date here, beginning August 3rd, April 3rd, not April 6th. So we'll include that change also.
That was one of the...
Okay, 7C, a resolution establishing a water and sewer payment plan for limited income individuals.
We have talked about this in previous meetings, that we wanted to be sympathetic to the new rate structure that went into effect, and to address people that were on low income and fixed incomes to have the ability, and I think we zeroed in on a 12% reduction in both sewer and water rates. And fortunately, when we do this, you have to put into the resolution that the financing of that will come out of the general fund rather than in the enterprise funds. I think that's reflected in the resolution.
Have you had any inquiries, Roger?
Trish, have you had any?
Not lately, but I know a while back Michelle had said that this has been a request for some time by quite a few people in there, and she anticipates quite a few people signing up.
Okay.
So the 12% has to come out of the general fund and go into the enterprise funds
Yes.
for every approved.
Why is that?
Kind of like it, well, it's a sliding scale.
What?
Like adjusting a sliding scale.
You have a nexus study. In order to have a fee, you pass a nexus study, and giving somebody a discount skews a nexus study. So it'll make the people that are supposed to pay their fair share pay a tiny bit more because they're supplementing the people that are under this program, and you can't do that. They can only pay their fair share.
I got it, thank you.
So you get the grant out of the general fund.
Yeah, if we
sponsor the 12%.
If we anticipated this in the Nexus study, could we then do it, or is it not? Because it's basically, it's got to be a level playing field, correct?
Right. It has to be exactly what they pay for the service. You can't force somebody to supplement a program.
Okay. Just, I want to be clear.
Almost like a granted government sliding scale fee. That's kind of, except for the government, it's our general fund.
I mean, it's taxpayer money, no matter how you cut it.
Okay.
Do we...
More questions? Go ahead.
I just wondered if there's any way for us to forecast this.
Yeah.
The impact. So I certainly was not expecting it to come out of the general fund. I don't think that came up in our conversations previously.
That was my biggest concern. Of the 680 residential, 500 of them show up.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, do we?
I don't anticipate that, but we'll certainly come back to the council if we get a tremendous amount of them.
more than an amount.
Is
Well, they
there-
have to qualify for it, don't they have to qualify?
They have to qualify through the PG&E.
Yeah, well, how many people in this county, or in this town qualify through PG&E?
Are you looking for more of an average study of how many people would qualify to see
Well,
what our impact on the general fund would be?
Yeah. I mean, if it's 300 of the bills come in at a 12% discount, we've just taken an 8% revenue or 6% hit in revenue on an already, beleaguered fund. I don't.
The lowest rate now, I think, is 153. It used to be 122, and with 153, 10% of that would be $15, and then another $3, so it would be about an $18 hit for the standard.
So $18 per month.
Yeah.
We're looking at 50 grand.
It was 200 people.
Or at 300 people would be that.
Yeah, it could be 40, it could be 40 or 50. But that's if 200 people qualify. I don't have a feel for it.
I'd really like to know, is there any way we can find out how many people are just...
Well, they've also got to, so it's by age.
And then they have to be part of the CARE program of the California Alternate Rate for Energy program.
You've got the background reports actually got breakdowns of by age.
There's nowhere that we can calculate by that age group who's in that,
No, but it would at least narrow it down. We'd know what the absolute max was.
We'd have the max.
Would PG&E tell you how many people they have in care
In San
Juan Bautista?
Yeah, I guess we could make a call there and everything.
That might be the way to go, is find out what we're looking at first.
Because I have the feeling we're about to step on part of our anatomy.
Yeah, I'd hate to have it go out there and then have to
pull it
say,
back.
holy cow, we can't
Yeah.
afford this now, that would be awful.
Something, that thing running?
We could continue this and we could research it and bring back to you and give you some percentage. Normally, a municipality, the number of people over 65 runs anywhere from 13 to 15%.
Okay.
I don't know what San Juan is.
I think it's a
It
little
might be-
higher here.
Yeah, it's a
I
little
would bet
higher.
a lot higher.
Bunch of
You
old
know.
farts.
So even if you, we'll see, that's still,
But I think,
that's
150.
personally, I think we should table this until we can find out
Yeah.
whether or not PG&E or the telephone company will tell us how many people are on their
can we send
program.
out a questionnaire in the water bill?
Well, then we don't offer it.
Yeah, the breakage on that is so high. I mean, the number of people that actually would respond is so low.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't know if it's confidential information with PG&E or not, but
I think
at
like
least
you
we could
said,
ask them.
Yeah, I'd like
If they
to have an
don't, if they
idea.
don't give us names, it should be
Yeah,
confidential.
Just tell us.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
You
just
got
looking at
20 people in
statistics,
this
not
town or
individuals.
200.
We still have to find out if they're, over 62.
Right.
So there could be people under 62 on the CARE program that wouldn't qualify by age.
So that's what I'd move is table this
I'd
until.
second that.
next month.
Agree.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so we'll table
Find out more. Okay. Consider opposing Senate Bill 876, homeless enforcement of local ordinances.
Aye.
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
craziness.
Lou is from where? I don't know.
Santa Monica.
I don't know.
I used to go camp out on his lawn.
Well, I think the League of California Cities took a strong position and they encouraged us to take action on it and write letters to our senators.
We're also, it's recommended that we call our Senator Canoa,
Yeah.
register our feelings. Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? This is a Senate bill that prohibits us from regulating homeless people activities on both public and private property within the city of San Juan.
Yeah. They pitch a tent, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Even on private property? Is that,
Correct. Even
that
on
did read
private.
on private property.
Plazas, courtyards, parking lots, sidewalks, public transportation facilities, public buildings, shopping centers, and parks.
I just had a vision of your new covered bus stop with, that's the centerpiece.
Yeah,
of
you only
the
need one
encampment.
enclosure there, huh?
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council, no public comment. Does anybody want to make a motion on this? There's,
Is there a motion? I think we just need to direct staff, don't we?
Yes.
We direct staff to,
okay,
there's a sample letter here to the various things, and then we'll get it to the senators and assemblymen,
Yeah.
and we'll put it there, and then we'll get it, sign it, and off it goes.
sounds good.
I'm good with that.
I think we're all in favor of that.
Yeah.
Okay, we took up E already, so now we'll go to 7F, consider appointment of new planning commissioner.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to put that off. That was my planning commissioner that resigned, and I'm talking to two different people, and they both, due to my failings, I didn't get this taken care of, and they want some time to think about it.
Sure.
So I'd like to move it to the next meeting.
Okay,
would second
let's
that.
do that.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to item 8A, replacement of volunteer fire department sign.
Bob, do you want to take that? You know,
Yeah, I didn't know we were actually
we had
gonna have it up
discovered
there.
that the sign was missing. I thought somebody stole it. I called the sheriff.
Yeah, there was a lot of,
Where is the sign?
the sign is located behind
in
the display cabinet in the, what do we call that now, the break room, meeting room?
Yeah.
Display cabinet where we've had, memorabilia of the fire department.
I thought it was up in public.
There was a lot of controversy of people calling in and I don't know, Rodney, you hear stuff that came up that, it's not a volunteer department, it shouldn't be up there. So to kind of close the talking and that, it was removed and set behind the cabinet there, which raised another group of people.
A whole other wave.
A whole other wave.
The
What happened to the sign? This was,
so our
history of a volunteer. We have a volunteer chief. So kind of what we're thinking about is we're going to get the sign refurbished, put it back up there. We're also going to have another sign added into it, establishing when, the date and everything that the volunteers had started. And that, we still have a volunteer chief.
And the volunteer fire department was started in 1868, 1 year before the city was incorporated. So we want to put that on there. And I also suggested that we go and put a sign on the building, station number 4.
Yeah, station 4, county contract, station 4.
Identify that. And we'll work with the city to how they want to present that, and it can be on the 3rd Street or the 2nd Street side, and then the volunteer would be on the Polk Street side, because the 3rd Street side is
section of the wall I'd really like to dedicate as the volunteer, whatever we can put in there.
And it'd be more really symbolic and more historical rather than the presence of a.
Sure. Yeah. Though one of the comments I saw somewhere was former home of, something like that.
Well, we still have a volunteer fire chief. It's still in a connection of a volunteer.
Well, I for one would like to see the sign up tomorrow morning. I think that it should not have been taken down, and I think that there should have been some conversation. As I gather, there was no conversation with the city about it coming down. I think it was a bad PR move that we need to fix immediately. And if we're then going to go ahead and refurbish and do other things, that's great. I love that idea. But I'd like to see the sign up immediately. That's my 2 cents worth.
I'll go along with that. I think somehow we need to communicate with the fire chief that the building is San Juan's for their use.
Yeah.
He actually did a little bit of research.
Changes to the building are not permissible without approval.
And rightly so, as I always, even when we initiated this thing 2 years ago, I really felt that we should have something on this building that says this is fire station number 4, because it's part of that contract. Yeah.
No, well, and we need to be. It needs to be identified. It's a public safety issue, no question.
Yeah.
That's why putting it in the context of a historic sign, that sort of thing, out of the way,
You mind if I pop a few 2 cents in?
Absolutely.
I think you're.
No, I don't mind.
I think you're mistaking it. I think I sense some hostilities, like this sign was taken down to disrespect the volunteers, and that was absolutely not the case.
No.
It was taken down in kind of reaction to some stuff that was being said on Facebook and some comments we'd gotten at the fire station. We thought, okay, we'll take it down and then we'll visit this discussion and figure out what to do. You know what I mean? There was no malice intended, even though there's been some, basically some accusations that it was done in malice, and that's totally untrue.
No, and I don't believe it was. No, don't misunderstand me. I don't believe that. I think, though, that it's a public forum. We talk about transparency. I just, like I said, I think it was a bad PR move, and we've made a number of bad PR moves with regard to the fire department and the process that we've all gone through the last couple of years. It's just unfortunate. Because we have people. No, I appreciate that, and I apologize. I didn't mean. I don't mean that to be the case.
That's why I don't subscribe to Facebook.
Yeah,
it's a gossip column.
It's social media. It's not social.
a lot of people pick them up and they're passing around going, hey, look what's being said. Okay, well, apparently that sign being up there was upsetting individuals, so we were looking to try to squash that upsetting part. People are getting upset. And then it opened up a whole nother side. So, whatever you want to do with the sign, the fire department has no problem with whatever you want to do.
No.
Maybe we're just asking, maybe we look at, like you said, put up a sign that states that, you don't even have to say Station 4. It could just say San Juan Bautista Fire Station.
Just say Station 4.
Yeah.
Well, I think the proposal is to put station number 4 on the front of the building next door here, and the volunteer sign on the old building on the side
make
street.
some kind of little plaque, like you said, established in 1868.
Chief Del Campo actually did a little bit of history, and he's, looked back, and this is the Eagle, hook and ladder, and the established. He was trying to actually get the same date and all that, and by identifying, the call signs of each station as they came up, and I think it can be resolved pretty easy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'd just like to see it go back up. It's a very cool sign. There's a strong affinity in this community for the organization, and it, like I said, it's unfortunate.
I remember when they cut the siren.
And it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because I saw those comments too. There was a lot of comments. I'm just surprised that it took.
Did any of them sign their name?
There was,
Is there any way
there was a lot of commentary about it a long time ago, and then I didn't see anything, and then the sign came down, and like I said, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah,
timing.
It became a verbal thing. So.
Sure. Well, and I would hope you guys would.
Maybe we didn't follow the procedure, but maybe we should have. Come and discuss it with you first, and I was going to do that. They said, I'll take responsibility for that. But it was like I said, there was no malice.
We'd appreciate it. It's just we've been on.
We thought we were solving a problem.
More water?
No one of those?
No. Thank you. No, it's all right.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to throw that up there just in case.
Appreciate it.
Just make you understand there was nothing intended by it.
All right, thank you for commenting.
Also, and whatever's going to get hung up or put up before the work starts, I'd like to, we either need to refer it to somebody for a group, because whatever we do is going to get scrutinized unbelievably. And it's got to look good, it's got to be the right quality, it needs to be appropriate. We need to take some time on that, and in the meantime, I think we should put the sign back up.
I think we should get people to not listen to social media, because it's anti-social media.
Good luck.
Roger, I guess you've been working on this already, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And we'll work with, even get the historical committee involved in it too. I think that's part of the emphasis is that it's more historical.
Yeah.
It's part of our fabric here in San Juan.
Any idea how long the sign has been there?
I was thinking the 70s, late 70s.
Yeah.
That sign, late 70s?
It wasn't, somebody had made that. I forget, somebody had been in this area.
Alex Zeller.
Is that an Alex Zeller sign?
It's not carved. He was a wood carver.
I was told that it's an Alex Zeller. I have no idea.
Hanging on my house.
Well, we were worried it was stolen.
Maybe Georgiana has something to say. She's got a lot of pearls of wisdom.
Can she come up?
Sure.
Georgiana Gallardi. I'm representing the Historical Society at this moment. Thank you so much for taking care of the Volunteer Fire Department's memory. We have a lot of material, a huge big scrapbook that we can perhaps have Sandra put into the display case here. Anything we can do to commemorate what the fire department has done for us in San Juan Bautista, we are right behind. We had one of our most successful events in the past years on video, and of course now digitized, was when the state park brought out the old hook and ladder truck, and every active member of the volunteer department that day, and his family came to the park and brought the engines, and we had a wonderful day. We all went down to Hardina's. The Historical Society was the host for the whole family of all the fire department, and we would like to do that again. So when this is all solved, please count on us and give me a call if you need anything out of the museum that we can provide. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you. Okay, so that's in the works. So now we have 8B, recommendation on public safety by the Strategic Plan Committee. John?
Yes, we, the committee farmed it out to one of our subcommittees, the committee on government and safety, and anyway, they met a couple times and went through a wide range of possibilities, or whatever you want to call it, and we basically narrowed it down to kind of weighing the pros and cons between increased sheriff patrols, a private security force, and closed circuit cameras. And right now, to cut to the chase, our recommendation is for a private security patrol because it is considerably cheaper, in addition to the present sheriff's patrol. So we're not going to cut him back at all. Not going to mess with that. We've just an extra 56 hours, which would give us 96 hours total per week of coverage in the city. We recommend. We consulted with John Hopper, who most of you probably know, and he's in the security business, and he told us, he kind of broke it out to us. There's several levels of security guards. There's just, your teenage kid or 21-year-old kid who's getting $12 an hour, and he's not really caring too much. But he'll drive around in a car and take a report or something. And then there's a step up from that, and we're recommending basically a step up from that where this person would have the possibility of some additional authority on things like code enforcement, possibly the ability to write parking tickets. Increased public safety all the way around, and we feel that this type of person, you have to pay more per hour for this level of experience. This person is trained and stuff, goes through similar trainings like police officers do, and it does cost a little more per hour, per week, per month, per year, but we think it would be a better deal for the city in the long run because we could use him or her for other things also. The closed circuit camera, I believe Connie met with an individual last Thursday morning, and I don't think they've had time to give us an accurate quote yet, or we had ballpark estimates. Do we have a ballpark estimate, Connie?
No, not yet.
Okay. We had originally kind of figured it would be about $65,000 for 3 sets of cameras at each of the Valero station, 129 going to 101 and the Alameda. I'm sensitive to other people, but I don't think there's that many criminals crawling up the road to the freeway. It's just,
Take it a pass.
And on a personal recommendation, this is aside from the planning committee, I would strongly recommend that we get accurate crime statistics on a monthly basis from the sheriff's department or whoever is providing our service, so we can know if we're spending too much, too little, or just right. I mean, we're basically, we're saying there's a crime wave. I haven't seen any proof that we've had statistically significant percentage increase or decrease over the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years. These statistics, frankly, are not available to us on a timely manner. So that's why I can't tell you if there is a crime increase or decrease. And no one can. We had a member at the meeting last week, and she ran the statistics off of a website, which are, and she came up with one guy on narcotics and one other situation, and I go, that's it for the month? You know, that's not bad. You know, but I am very sensitive to the people who had problems in the businesses and such, and I'm not trying to diminish that at all, but you know, we need statistics, and we need them out of the sheriff. We're not getting them out of the sheriff. Part of our contract with the sheriff states that they will give these statistics, and we need to kind of lean on him hard to get those. That's just my personal opinion, not the committee's. Anything else?
Any questions?
Now, let's presume we get a private first alarm or whoever it is. Do you intend to sit down with the sheriff and go over, okay, this is your responsibility, this is our responsibility, and make sure that they're working together? And then, but prior to that, like you say, get those numbers from the sheriff. Sorry, Tony left.
I would say the relationship needs to be, I used the word, we talked about that at the meeting last week. I would say the relationship needs to be finessed. And we just can't, you know, that's why we strongly recommended that we keep the sheriff exactly where he's at right now. So,
but I would say their support would be great, but you have to have one elected official in that meeting, because then you speak with authority, you're voted by the people, and to deal with the sheriff. That's important.
May I? Yeah. The first alarm, the contractor out of Santa Cruz came prior to Jim and I being elected, came twice, and I believe there was some discussion about integrating with the sheriff's department and working with the sheriffs, and they currently have contracts in this county and work, you know, collaboratively with the sheriff's department now. So,
who was this now?
This was the First Alert folks.
First alarm.
Sorry.
I think Andy invited him over, and he had worked with them, and they made a presentation to us.
It came down to our insurance, and it went to your insurance provider, who was uncomfortable with it, and there was kind of a standstill on that. So we'd have to get something worked out with your insurance in order to have something like that.
Parsecs had a little bit of, they were a little bit queasy about having first alarm and the liability to the city of contracting it, and so it got into the contract language of who was going to.
Yeah, when we discussed this, I mean, all of these topics were brought up. You know, there's still a few questions that need to be answered. Like, you know, right now we're telling everybody to call 911. Well, we need to speak to 911 to find out, will they be able to speak with First Alarm? It's quite possible they can, because they, you know, right now First Alarm is in Santa Cruz and works right alongside with their police department. So I would imagine that you know, things that still need to be figured out are dispatching, but other cities have used the security, second party security for their cities, and we've been told that, you know, it definitely needs to be finessed. It needs to have a conversation with whomever, if you do go this route. It needs to be a conversation with the sheriff explaining we still need their services, it's valuable to us. But the security company is, the other items other than just policing that the city could utilize them for is code enforcement, which has been something that I know has been, I don't want to say lacking, because it makes it sound like city staff isn't doing their job. They're fairly well burdened right now, and this will help take some of that burden off of them, to assist with code enforcement, with parking non-moving violations. Also with the security, if they're here for, you know, whatever hours are determined, be it something we say, okay, we want you from here to here, or we just simply tell them, we want you here 8 hours a day, 4 hours, however you guys want to, you know, however we split it up. With the sheriff's office, if they're in town and they get an emergency call 40 miles away, they're taking off, and it leaves the city kind of out.
In our car.
If there's an emergency across town, the security company stays here. They're going to have to work with each other. There will be overlap with that. I'm not sure how that relationship would go, but it's definitely something that would need to be finessed, and I think it's doable.
And that was our biggest reason, because we've got reasonable offers from, or not offers, but, quotes from the sheriff's department. And their overtime rate is actually very reasonable, but it's limited, let's just put it that way. The big thing was if there's an emergency in any other part of the county, Tres Pinos, Hollister, Aromas,
That's a priority.
They go and we're empty. There's nothing. Whatever word you want to use, and that's not the case with the private security.
I would also imagine that if something major within the county under the sheriff's jurisdiction pulled majority of their resources completely away, and a call to whatever security company you call to say, hey, we're kind of out here alone, can you just send someone? And yeah, we might pay a small premium, but imagine if we've got a weekend where we've got an event going on and we need that security and sheriffs all run out of town, it would be worth that price to get somebody here to at least get eyeballs. We're not proposing going with armed security, because I know in the past we discussed and that was totally off the table, and I would absolutely agree that it's not something we should look at. But simply having a security guard in a car really isn't what we need. We need someone who's going to be able to step up to the next level. And it really only works out to be $5 an hour. It goes from roughly $25 an hour to roughly $30 an hour, to go from just someone in a car driving around to someone who can actually get out of the car, who can make citizens arrests if need be, can get out and move people on, can make parking citations, and also code enforcement. And with the code enforcement, that there's also then at that point you could also take in some sort of cost recovery. That is just one more thing to consider with that.
Just to let you know, security officers will not make citizens arrests.
Okay.
First of all, once they arrest somebody, what do?
Yeah.
Put them in the back of the car, and then what if it takes 2 hours to get a sheriff's deputy here to take the prisoner? That's not feasible.
Okay.
I just don't want anybody to think that security can do a lot.
Okay.
I've been working in and with security for the past almost 7 years now. My employer has hired First Alarm. I've been in Cal Horton's office. He's got a wonderful view of the airport. We're not doing business with them anymore.
Okay.
So I don't know what else I can say. Just talking about this general subject, something that bothers me, and it's been bothering me for a long time, is that I gather that when somebody's working San Juan, they're one of 2 officers on duty that day, and they're covering this beat over here. If we're paying for 40 plus hours a week, there should be 2 sheriff's deputies on duty and a 3rd deputy here in San Juan. Mm-hmm. And that's not what's happening. And that's what bothers me.
Well, that's a little different question than what you sent to our committee. And we only had a couple of weeks to research this.
Oh, I know. That's something separate. The things that we've talked about here before, and that was one of them, what I just said, that's something that we have to take up with the sheriff's office in a separate meeting.
Right.
That's not help us solve our problem and what do you recommend and research it. So
and Eric did some
2
research.
Separate things.
Eric did some research, and the contract between the city of San Juan and the sheriff's department basically dates back to 1996. It's kind of been rolled over with a couple of additions, and part of the reason why is the major factor is the salaries, which ends up being the cost, is set by the board of supervisors. So there's not much you guys can argue.
Well, we paid for a whole year's salary, and we bought a car. We should have that.
To his point, that's not a question we can take up right now.
I mean, you're right. Stay here, and the people should come and get the car and drive around here. And instead, it goes all over to Ulster, Tres Pinos, wherever.
If they leave San Juan, it should be mutual aid.
Great.
It should be a mutual aid call.
Okay. Well, that has nothing to do with the recommendation that we have on before us.
Right.
If you guys
And-
want to take up and add the contract, I'm all for it to the conversation for the next meeting. But right now, on our desk is recommendations. I'd like to see an RFP come out of this. I'd like to see this move forward post haste.
An MOU,
because
something.
we've got a lot of break-ins that have happened in the last 6 months. I mean,
I know there was a big
Jesus.
rash there for a week or two. Is that continuing on now?
But it's happened. We've had at least 3 rounds of that, Jim, in the last 6 or 8 months. So they come through and clean us out. They come through a week later and clean us out, and then it's quiet for 3 months. And then there's another round where they clean out a bunch of businesses, and then they come back to a month after that and they clean everybody out. And then there's a week of downtime, and they come back again. I mean, it's been it continues to happen.
I knew there was a just giant
Yeah.
rash.
Oh no,
of
it's
them,
been.
But I hadn't heard anything.
It's been multiple, series of multiple.
And I would concur with you. Let's get something going on.
The second part of our recommendation was the closed-circuit security cameras. And,
That's what
I think that that can help a lot in identifying people. The cost of those cameras are coming down every day. HD cameras are a bit 1080p, which is about as good as it gets according to the electronics people. You can get them at Costco these days. So that's not.
Yeah, but we can't get a system that
No,
works
you
on a
can't get the
municipal
professional
scale.
system, but the cost of the cameras are coming
Yeah.
down. So anyway, but that I think we should also probably consider. You guys should consider in the very near future, if not tonight.
But part of the research, and again, we were under a fairly tight timeline, is the initial estimate we got on the security system or on the camera system to cover the 3 entrance exit points plus 2 downtown was somewhere in the neighborhood of $65,000. They met last Thursday, and my understanding, Connie might be able to speak to this a little bit more.
So John Hopper and I, who is, I'm sure if you guys know him, he's an expert in security systems. Him and I met with Surveillance Grid, who has installed cameras in Morgan Hill, in Hollister. I think they just took on maybe Hollister, yeah. And then I want to say Gilroy as well. But the representative was estimating at between $4,000 and $5,000 per camera. With the camera itself would have like a 360 degree depending on where it was installed, and it would be set up at the 3 different entrances to town, and on the main street something would be attached to one of the buildings that where it's kind of like incognito, would be painted the same color of the building, and then what else? There may or may not be a cost to the city also, because we have the mission. It's considered a state monument, so we could get grants from the Department of Homeland Security to cover the costs of the surveillance cameras. And then we would also have like a main transmitter point at the water, at the reservoir on the hill there. So it may or may not be much less than the 65 that we were initially thinking. So, yeah.
So Homeland Security grant sounds like a real bargain if they can cover half or more of the expense, because that's what the world uses these days to identify the bad guy, for lack of a better word.
The guy with the hoodie on.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, specifically,
You need to walk here.
Specifically, what the strategic plan was asked is to do research and give a recommendation. And our recommendation at this time, taking in factors of what would a police, and it's all spelled out in the report, but what would a police department cost, increasing the sheriff's department security. We had also discussed things like using citizen patrol. We crossed through that one really quick. We had actually 7 items that we went through. We crossed several of them off really quick and kind of narrowed it down to those 3. It was police department, our own police department, increasing sheriff patrol, and private patrol. And our recommendation is private security.
Which number of those were you?
I'm sorry?
Which number of that was that? Number 1, 2, 3?
3, I believe, was
Three?
the,
Oh, number 3 is the one that we were actually, if you have the bid options quote, it would be number 3, and that's for 56 hours.
56 hours at $7,488 per month. That would be your monthly cost for the security officer. And that's 56 hours a week, in addition to the 42 the sheriff already provides. Makes 96. 98, thank you. Bad math. And that's a lot of the week. That's a lot of the week.
Well, number one, I think you guys did a great job on this. It was pretty good, pretty thorough research.
Definitely.
And I want to thank you for that. And I think we ought to do something. 3, you know. But I think also that we need to talk with Darren.
certainly.
Oh, definitely.
We did, Eric and I had a personal conversation in Darren's office. It lasted for over an hour. We did not, and I want to repeat this, we did not talk about any other options. We just talked about the sheriff department, period. So if you're going to ask me, did we finesse it? The answer is we didn't even talk about it.
As a matter of fact, in that meeting was also Tony LaMonica, and he asked me tonight if we had made a decision, and I basically said we're considering all of our options at this point. But I was just reminded by another member of the Strategic Plan Committee is that what offering more security will do is just give visibility of people on the street. People may sit down and say, well, security officers, rent-a-cops, whatever they want to say about them. In due time, if they do their job as we're anticipating they do, they'll become respected, they'll become the people that people rely upon for their smaller issues and needs. And I think in the city right now, I mean, this at our neighborhood watch meeting on Thursday was, I mean, that meeting went a long time about, I never see. And we had briefly discussed the option of bringing security in, and the consensus of them seemed, okay, if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
But, I agree that it's just, I still think we really need to lean on the sheriff for statistics. We need to know if there really is a crime wave, or if it's just the usual variations. Are we getting bigger, or is Hollister getting so much bigger that their excess crime comes over here and beats us up every now and then on a more frequent basis? Or is it just the same as always? We need to know.
Yeah. I agree.
So looking at these recommendations and stuff, I mean, great job. I appreciate all the time and effort. And, you say a set of eyes out there is always a plus. I think the video surveillance is those eyes don't blink and they're there 24/7. And, it's hard to count on one person to see all over. And if anything does happen while he's here and he misses it because he's over here and it happens over here, he's going to be, why didn't you get this? What happened? Here we are paying for this and it's still happening.
Well, one of the things the sheriff reminded Eric and I was that most of the unarmed robberies, burglaries, house invasions, whatever, they last maybe a total of 90 to 120 seconds. The people are in and out, and he was, I guess, police captain in Watsonville, where they had a lot of officers and a lot of resources. And their time between when 911 or dispatch told the sheriff to go and the sheriff got there was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And they rarely caught the guy coming out of the door.
Exactly.
And I agree the video is a great tool, but the one downside of the video is it's not really, it can't be really used as a crime preventer, but it's an excellent resource.
I think it is a crime preventer.
I think it's a deterrent.
As a deterrent,
that is crime prevention.
You drive by and you saw the camera and you're like, oh, great, okay, well, I'm going to have to.
I've been trying to hide it on 3rd Street.
That's a true thought on it.
That's just my opinion. I let everyone know we have cameras.
Yeah. Exactly. Highly profiled at the new cameras in
You can
San
buy those
Juan.
dummy cameras for your home.
That's right.
Even if they don't have the
I had a
plate,
few of those around town.
even if they don't have the plate, we're gonna have a color and car manufacturer, and that's
Well, I think the cameras that we're looking at are actually going to be able to get it down to the license plate level.
Well, if they don't, if they have a plate.
If they have a plate, or, I mean, as we know, when we had all the vehicle thefts down off of 3rd Street, one of the city workers got the license plate number and it came back to a car that hadn't been registered in 10 years after San Luis Obispo. So
you're going to run in.
For what it's worth, at least we'll be able to read the tourist sign in the back of the car as it drives away.
But also, speaking back to code enforcement and maybe non-moving violations, one of the little things that does tick me off about people in this town sometimes, they park on the corners, where it's red. They actually, on the corner of 3rd and North, there's a guy who parks there every darn day. And, I have to drive way out around and get run down by the guy who's coming south on North Street. It's just...
You ever try to go across 3rd Street from Franklin? You just close your eyes and go. There's no way you can see anything.
In my opinion, it would be worth it to get some of these people a few tickets and get them off those corners.
And the frustrating part about it, I watch Sheriff's Department drive right by it.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
All right.
So, Rick, do you have any thoughts on the camera versus persons?
Well, for the cost of the
Given
cameras, it
background.
sounds like they're going to adjust for the light level outside. So in other words, when it gets dark at night, the lens will open to allow more light in. So
Thermal imaging.
unless they're fixed, I mean, they'll work during the day and then at night you won't see anything.
It would be thermal imaging.
Well, we need to get a better quote from what's the name of that company?
Surveillance grid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe if we can watch some of those to see what they see at night.
Well, what I'd like to do is take a trip over to Hollister, which I do all the time anyway, and so and see what those cameras are doing over there, and maybe we take a few of you with us because it's the exact same system, it's the same company,
It's
same
a good
product.
idea.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Who's going to sit and watch this?
Well,
no, you don't. It's all recorded.
Okay.
The officer goes back.
And you have an idea that something happened at a certain time?
Right.
And you look at that?
Right.
And you go back over the surveillance.
Well, just like
tape.
on CSI, right, okay.
It fast forwards until you see the little flash of light and then wait back up.
Go way back up. Look, go in on that one.
I wasn't being facetious because I want to know who's going to sit down and look at these and say, oh, look at this guy came in off the Alameda, and what are we looking for?
Well, you're going to have somebody identified, and then maybe they'll question him and see what the alibi is.
In some ways, Tony's correct. The cameras are to be used as a tool, and the unfortunate part about it is you can't say, okay, camera, tell me who doesn't belong here.
Right.
It will take eyes and ears for someone to go in. So it comes down to if you've got a home that gets broken into, you might or might not go back to the camera. But if you've got 5 businesses get hit in the same night, then it makes absolute economical sense to go back to that tape and say, okay, let's look.
So it's a hard drive these days.
It's a hard drive, excuse me. But it would absolutely make economical sense to try to trace the person and narrow it down to a timeline, attempt to figure out when cars came in and out, the process of elimination. It's by no means perfect.
Where I work, there's about 5 of us that have access to the camera system. But when something happens, I'm the one that has to go in and look. And, like in an accident in a parking lot, we'll have 5 cameras on this one parking lot, and the victim's car was parked over here, and the camera is catching the left side of the car, and the damage is on the right side. Unless you've got somebody operating what they call a TPZ camera, tilt pan zoom, and that requires somebody to be sitting at a console watching all the time and saying, oh, let's take a closer look at this, and they change the camera direction to look at that particular person or vehicle or whatever. But
the committee only thought that the committee's line of thinking, as I understood it, was that if there was an incident that happened at 5:30 in the morning on a Friday, we'd go at 5:30 to 5:40, that time schedule on the computer, and look at all the pictures at all 3 sites at that time, and see what cars left the town.
Or if none moved at all, which means it's in town and didn't come from out of town. So and that's why it's more of a long-term recommendation.
Which means the property's still in town at the time.
When you talk to the sheriff,
yes,
was the department's feeling that our crimes are being committed by people who live here or people who come here to commit the crimes?
He had some definite ideas on that. For example, the Vallejo station, he thought it was a person or a gang from Salinas or possibly Gilroy, and that was an out-of-town job, let's call it that. He didn't know about the ones on 3rd Street. You know, he didn't offer an opinion on that.
Their only comment on the ones on 3rd Street were that they didn't catch anybody with any property, but what they did do was they had made several drug arrests, and when the drug arrests were made and those people were sitting in jail and going through the system, all the theft stopped. So they're
arrived at that
correlation
conclusion,
that
huh?
absolutely
I
no
can
way.
tell you who the hell it is.
Jimmy Mack.
Yeah, but that was not drug arrests here in town.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, those were not. It
No,
wasn't.
his
It wasn't
statistic
people here.
was-
When my house was burglarized, he was in jail. So it wasn't him.
That's where somebody picked up.
Well, they're not talking about the individual you're talking about.
No, there's obviously multiple individuals causing the problem here in town. The cameras are I feel, so I think there's a really important addition to us, in addition, there's other uses for the camera. We can also use it on our website to promote San Juan, the one on 3rd Street, and show the temperature, what a beautiful day it is.
So 65 is to buy them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how long do they last for?
Well, I would say the recording system and the video system that's in some secret room where only Mayor Edge gets to go, that's the one that's probably what's going to give out first. But
okay,
so
so if we do the initial cost of $65,000, how many years is it going to last?
We don't know.
That would be included in the quote, but there's a yearly maintenance cost, and that includes like upgrading and labor.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that it's not going to be $65,000 every year.
No.
We're going to have an initial
cost,
and then we're going to have a maintenance program.
The only other possible cost is a lot of things are being done in the cloud. Storage is in the cloud these days, and maybe after 1 week, all the information on the hard drive gets sent up to some storage website, quote unquote, in the cloud, which is actually a server farm in Oregon or something. But, you're going to get charges for storage, but they're very low. The cost of storage is very low these days.
There's also no PG&E cost or anything like that because they're all solar powered.
Right.
All of their cameras are.
Also, is there a recovery cost on an arrest?
What do you mean?
We didn't get that in depth.
You didn't get that in depth?
What does that mean?
So you catch somebody using a surveillance, and you can charge them for that time that camera was for that. Just like recovery costs on the Golden Gate Bridge when you pass through, they take that. There's also an additional charge.
Got it.
So when the perpetrator gets out of jail, they go commit another job so they can pay you off.
However we get our money. We ask no questions when we get paid.
Hopefully they'll go to Hollister or something.
Go to Salinas.
Rob and Peter to pay San Juan.
General thing. There was certainly a lot of, it was important to at least get, the very budgetary numbers together as a start point to be able to formulate a recommendation. And, we spoke of it at length during our strategic plan committee and then our government and communications subcommittee. We spoke to it well over an hour. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of questions that still need to be answered.
And I'd just like to point out, they brought a lot of good options, good alternates, and there's some price tags on them. There's some still on the cameras, maybe some things and everything, but I think that we should take the time to kind of look how we're going to pay for this. And I'm more pragmatical in the sense is there's only two sources of revenue that we're going to get by this refinancing, and that's from the water and the sewer. And that's going to generate an X amount of dollars. And so we have to take a look at that. And whatever we do in terms of manpower, that's ongoing every year.
Well, there is also the possibility, I think it was Eric or was it you that mentioned that there are grants available because we're a mission city and Homeland Security can provide some money for the cameras.
That's capitalization, but I'm talking about manpower.
Yeah,
right. You know, and those are the things that we have to take a look at and see how sustainable that thing is, because we don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, and it's going to affect our other programs.
And obviously, if you feel that the budget crunch is too tight, you can lower it from 56 to 48 or something. You know, there's no. We didn't think 56 was a magic number. It's just a good number.
So anything we do over 43, we're going to have to pay overtime, or is that a negotiable?
You're talking about the sheriff's. Our sheriff's contract right now, the way it's written is it states that we have 42 hours a week or one officer. We get one deputy, one full-time deputy a year. The overtime quote that we had was, we asked the question because he broke it down in a per hour, and I think it was $68 an hour for the actual sheriff's deputy.
It's 58.
Yeah, it was $148,000 a year for one full-time deputy. But for an overtime rate is only $58. It was like $10 or $12 less
per hour.
Per hour. The difference being is we can't just simply say, okay, I need an overtime person for 20 hours a week. That would be more for if we know there's an event going on downtown a couple weeks down the road, we can say, go to him and say, we really kind of need someone to be out here for 10 hours, and then he kind of puts it out to his deputies asking, I need someone to work overtime. And even though it's less than what the standard rate is, because they've already paid all of their insurance costs and benefits and all that, you're just paying for the raw time and our vehicle.
But the sheriff, I remember several years ago, it might have been 4 or 5 years ago, similar conversation with a different city council occurred, and with the sheriff, and it was with the sheriff standing here, and the sheriff really wasn't very flexible. He was limited by union rules, and he had like 10 excuses why he couldn't do one thing. So this sheriff seems to be a lot more flexible, but he would like it either in another full guy or maybe a half-time guy, but not another 5 hours, 10 hours, either 21 hours or 42 hours. And the overtime is just kind of a gravy thing. It's like Eric said, he literally goes and puts a notice on the wall, anyone want to work in San Juan for an extra 5 hours next weekend, and so whoever says yeah.
We did ask the question if we increase the sheriff from one full-time deputy to a deputy and a half, he said he could do that. He said we could go actually up to 2 full-time deputies and utilize our one car probably without an issue. But he said if we went with a half deputy, that we would have to be a little bit flexible with how those additional 20 hours a week got done, because that person needs to be accounted for somewhere. I mean, he's got to hire a full deputy.
Yeah.
His other comment was that if we were to consider something with the sheriff's department, he'd want it fairly soon because he's doing his budget to give to the county. We did not take his having to do his budget in a hurry into account.
So, do you think the county would be entertained in splitting a deputy?
Would have been some.
The county's been cutting the sheriff's deputy for years. You really think they're gonna?
Well, they've been talking about it.
His suggestion.
About increasing it.
We actually asked what his recommendation was. His recommendation, from his point of view, was to go with one more full-time deputy.
Or two.
Yeah, for a total of two. And his second option was to do a deputy and a half total.
So the other thing I want to remind you is the sheriff is on a random time. They come and go as they kind of, I don't want to say as they please, but they're on a random time. And he reminded us that when the Union Bank, when it was in business, when it was robbed several years ago, they were on a set time and the people picked the day that they weren't in town. So, you know, there's advantages to random and there's advantages to set. You know, you could kind of take it from there.
Well, I guess what we need to do is refer this to Roger to work on the numbers and then bring it back to us maybe at the next meeting and see. But I think we're looking, you know, for these figures, I think we're looking at budget time. There's no money for these kinds of expenses now.
If you recall, when the treasurer made his report, he pointed out that was $200,000 in savings.
Right.
And there's $1.8 million owed to the general fund out of those funds. My thought was that we can tap into that to pay to fund
$200,000 accrues over 12 months.
Understood.
Yeah, right.
Which is only
Understood.
20 a month.
But the payment here at $7,488 a month is very close to what we've just alleviated in the PAVEX payments monthly.
Well,
and like I said, you know, our 56 is not cast in stone. You can you can manipulate that number to make it work out within whatever bond rating savings you're getting with the refinance. You know.
And so,
and one more thing to point out is I've been with the Neighborhood Watch now for 2 years. Chris has been for it longer than that. And consistently in the Neighborhood Watch, the number one thing people always ask is, when can we get more feet on the ground? You know, 2 years ago, I don't think I had ever thought to consider private security. When they came in last year, or year before last, and gave us their presentation, it certainly sounded like something. Economically, it certainly solves some issues, but it doesn't solve it all, but it certainly solves a lot of issues as far as getting people in front of you. And again, the ability to do things like code enforcement, which is another thing that gets brought up quite consistently in Neighborhood Watch and just in general talking through town. And also take care of more nuisance issues like parking tickets. Those are two things that, quite honestly, the sheriff department won't do code enforcement, and they really are not focusing on doing parking violations unless they're pushed.
I wonder if we shouldn't, if there's any reason not to leave this with the strategic plan group and to have them work with Roger to codify this and pull it together and work on an RFP.
I think you're doing a fine job, Chris. Not kidding.
Yeah, I'd feel much good. I'd like Roger to tell me, because you know, we now have so many numbers floating around. I ain't that good at numbers, but I would like to. What we can't afford. I
feel like this is the first time the bond refi is the first time we've potentially created enough dollars to address this question at all.
Yeah.
And I you know, it
God forbid we should run into black for a month or two.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that we need to do that you know, we've deferred, but this is the issue that after water, this is the number one issue that came up in the campaign a year ago. This is what people want, and I think we need to address it, and I think we need to address it as quickly as we can. This is also not, I mean, if this is a contract that we can adjust, raise, lower, bail out of very quickly and easily. I agree with you that the cameras we need to do that too, I think. But I think that the foot patrol or the private security patrol is the.
And we need someone here between 11 o'clock at night and 7 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, we're just going to keep, it's going to drive
Can we
up.
try it out for a month? Well, somebody have them driving around.
Yeah, and they may not. Yeah, we may have to go a little longer than a month, but we can do it on a trial basis, and see what we think of it. But I don't know what the restrictions are, Roger, in terms of an RFP and getting multiple quotes and stuff like that. But presumably, we need to put in an RFP, and that's we've got to wait. That has to go out to bid. I mean, we're talking about, even if we expedite this, we're talking months before we're able to pull the trigger on it.
Well, why don't we do the RFP request now, tonight, so at least we're moving on to that.
That to me would be terrific. And does it make sense potentially to create a subgroup, a subcommittee of 2 council members to spearhead this, or do we leave it with
You've done an excellent
staff
job.
or the strategic plan
You like
committee?
that? You did an excellent job. Keep working.
Gosh, nothing good
Yeah.
for free.
Yeah.
Gosh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was kind of.
Now you know what
Well,
it
the
feels
other-
like.
What?
Now you know what it feels like to work for free.
Yeah.
The other thing is, at least on the street where I live, 3 people, including myself, have had $1,500 a year property tax increases. It's on assessed valuation, of course, not on the rate, but so you ought to be getting some of that money. That's 3 people out of
I think
what,
it's
$9?
$15 out of that?
A few cents on the dollar, yeah.
Well, you put in some more or whatever.
No, and I didn't mean to do that. If you guys want help, I'll be more than glad to work with you on that. I mean, I know Darren from the campaign, you know.
That might be helpful.
Yeah. But I'd be glad to do it.
Can we move along and say, all right, direct Roger to put together an
RFP, I would second that.
Based on the.
I think we can take a look at some professional services, and I think you can get by without
An
going
RFP.
with an RFP. You know.
Okay.
But I'd be willing to work with Eric and John and work some of these numbers out.
Are we going to stumble over our insurance issue?
Well,
it's all it'll all be in consideration.
I don't understand that insurance. If they're working with Santa Cruz and that, what's the problem with our insurance company?
I don't know. That's not an issue that we discuss completely because we don't know what the insurance company thinks really.
We did actually have a brief discussion about, whatever security company, we've gotten the quote from First Alarm. Certainly we need to look at several different options, what's offered, do the background checks, check with their vendors, check their references. But in general, they're going to have their certain insurances, but of course there's certain liabilities the city will also take on merely by hiring them, and I'm guessing that's what the hang-up is.
Yeah.
Well, they need, I would say very strongly that they need to be as an independent contractor because that does put, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but that does put a degree of separation.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd still, I think there's some concern that you'd still be liable because they're operating under your name at your direction, and the police have all these lawsuits for unlawful detainer, like Mayor Edge said, or unlawful false imprisonment.
Parsac's Thursday, I think. Thursday.
Great.
With who?
We'll ask Parsac, our insurance carrier.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we took the vigilante thing off, so that.
It was out there. It was one of the options.
I know it was.
I would say that if I was in California, I'd worry about that more than.
Well, it's come up in the neighborhood watch meetings. There was a gentleman that said he was going to start patrolling with a shotgun in town. Jesus.
Pitchforks have been mentioned.
Yeah. That's why. I think we really need to.
Yeah. Shouldn't use a gun. Dogs maybe, but no gun.
So are we?
We just have to.
Do we have consensus?
Yes.
Then?
So
we'll just give him direction.
Roger's going to work on it with the committee.
And with the strategic plan committee continuing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to go
great.
take a look at Hollister's camera system, that would be great.
Be interesting
I'd
to
be
find out how
interested.
that's working for them.
Yeah.
Well, this made an improvement.
And I'll work with you, but I hope you don't call me.
Oh, you're first on my list. I'll put you on a speed dial.
John, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you guys, you did a really good job.
That's great. Okay, item 8C, Youth Commission Advisor Job Description.
Do we?
I'm sorry, I didn't get very far on that.
No, it's all right. I just didn't, I didn't want to lose sight of it, that's all.
Okay.
So we'll table it for future?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
Keep it on the agenda.
Is that okay? Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we have a closed session.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you, folks. Yeah.
Yes,
please.
It helps the closed session.
Everything, yeah, so the meeting's pretty much over.